So 9 a.m. It's 1 o'clock. Yeah. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Citrus County Board of County Commissioners' second meeting of the day. As I joked at our 9 a.m., everyone can wish Commissioner Bays a happy birthday. We got her a double header for her birthday because we love her so much.
I look good for 29, don't I?
Anyway, today is October 29th, 2024 at 1 p.m. And our invocation today will be Pastor Marple Lewis from Cross Ridge Church in Lecanto. And then our very own Air Force veteran with veteran services here within the county, Chief Master Sergeant Phil Watson, will lead the pledge. If you're willing and able to stand and join us, we'd appreciate it. And also silence your devices if you haven't already.
Thank you, everyone, for the privilege of being able to pray for you today. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Gracious Heavenly Father, it is in awe of you that we stand before you in the holy name of Jesus, to give thanks to you with deep gratitude and humility, thanking you, Lord, for your love and goodness, your grace and your mercy. We thank you, Lord, for who you are in our lives, and especially, Lord, for the love that is expressed to us through your Son, our Savior, Jesus Christ, in his life, death, and resurrection to pay our sin debt so that we may enjoy life. Lord, I pray for your richest blessing on the Citrus County Commissioners today, this meeting, and all who will participate in it, and that greatest blessing would be your presence in this place. It is through the blessing of your presence that your divine wisdom is imparted to each and every one of us, and how we think and the words that we say and how we say them to each other. That the blessing of your presence here would also be in that your presence brings unity and cooperation. So not only the business of this county is conducted, but your will is done. So, Lord, I thank you that you would hear our prayers today. But moreover, Lord, we hear your words to us. Guard our hearts and our minds, that your presence in this place would lead us to see your honor and your glory. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
This is a regular meeting of the Citrus County Board of County Commissioners this 29th day of October 2024. In attendance are Chair Holly Davis, First Vice Chair Rebecca Bays, Second Vice Chair Diana Finnegan, Commissioners Jeff Kennard and Ruthie Schleybaugh, County Administrator Steve Howard, and County Attorney Denise A. Diamond-Lynn.
Thank you. Mr. Howard?
Yeah, just two items. E11, additional information, Hernando Beach Use Agreement, Dragon Boat Festival, indemnification agreement, and N1, additional information, corridor alignment, maps added. That's all I have.
Thank you. Board, what's your pleasure?
Madam Chair, move approval of the agenda A4 with the additions of E11 and N1.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bays, second by Commissioner Schleybaugh. Is there-
Chair?
Yes?
May I have some clarification? She said the additions, it's
Additional information, yes. Yeah.
I amend mine.
Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Finnegan, second by Commissioner Schleybaugh. Is there any public comment on the consent agenda? Seeing none, is there any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve C1 through C6.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Finnegan, second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And join me down there.
Anyone here for Veterans Appreciation Week and Veterans Day, please step forward.
Colonel, come on. You may be the county's favorite veteran. I don't know, but then y'all walk up. Okay, someone, am I repelling everyone? Can someone stand with me?
I'll say it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John, be nice.
Whereas Citrus County on the 32nd Veterans Appreciation Week honors the 80th anniversary of Iwo Jima, D-Day, Midway, VE Day, Victory in Europe Day, and VP, Victory over Japan Day. And whereas this year Veterans Appreciation Week has been set aside to honor the greatest generation winning World War II, whereas Citrus County recognizes the tremendous sacrifices of the greatest generations while serving our great nations, and whereas it is fitting that the citizens of Citrus County join in honoring these men and women whose service and sacrifice have enabled us to enjoy our freedom and way of life unique only to the United States of America. And now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners does hereby proclaim the week of November 11th through November 17th, 2024 as Veterans Appreciation Week in Citrus County, Florida, and that November 11th, 2024 be designated as Veterans Day in Citrus County, Florida, executed this 29th day of October, 2024.
So I just want to say, as the manager for Citrus County Veteran Services, I get the pleasure to serve veterans every day in this community, and my staff, we just love what we do. And as far as the War II and the Greatest Generation, I mean, everyone knows what that generation did and how they set the stage for what the world became, not only for the United States, but for the world as a whole. And there's only they say about 100,000 World War II veterans out there left, so they're very few in number. And as General MacArthur once said, old soldiers don't die, they just fade away. But also, I'd like to thank every veteran that's in this room, if you could stand up and be recognized. And I'd like to thank you for your contributions to our society. And thank you for your service, and most of you continued service, that you serve our community every day. Thank you.
Anyone here for Friends of the Library Month, please step forward. Whereas the work of the Friends of the Library promotes libraries as a cornerstone of community education, providing opportunities for everyone to engage in lifelong learning and connect with the thoughts and ideas of the world. Whereas the Friends of the Library understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our libraries get the resources needed to provide a wide variety of services to all ages. And whereas the Friends of the Library provide outstanding fundraising to enhance the Citrus County Library System, collectively contributing over $1.4 million since 2001. And whereas the time and commitment given by the Friends of the Library sets an example for how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and the betterment of our community. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, extends appreciation to the Friends of the Library and proclaim October 2024 as Friends of the Library Month in Citrus County, Florida, executed this 29th day of October 2024.
Hi, I'm Sandy Price, and I'm the president of the Focals Group, and on behalf of every yellow shirt and all the volunteers, my thanks goes to the BOCC for recognizing our group today, one day after we finished our most recent sale that grossed almost $30,000. Thanks also to the Citrus County Chronicle for the use of their building and their advertising and their generosity. They made this sale possible. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, the many, many, many special thanks go to all the yellow shirts. They showed up, they stepped up, and they worked oh so hard to make this last sale a success. I simply cannot thank the volunteers enough. Thank you all.
Okay.
Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Trask, and I'm president of the Friends of the Library of Homosassa. As you see, we don't wear yellow, but our Friends group is also very active, and I just want to let you know that our book sale is coming up starting November 14th, so we hope we see you there. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Alrighty then.
Anyone here for Fire Prevention Week, please step forward. Whereas Citrus County, Florida is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Citrus County, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas home fires killed more than 2,700 people in the United States in 2022, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 360,000 home fires. And whereas roughly 3 out of 5 fire deaths happen in homes with either no smoke alarms or with no working smoke alarms, and whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires almost in half, and whereas smoke alarms sense smoke well before you can, alerting you to danger in the event of fire in which you may have as little as 2 minutes to escape safely. And whereas Citrus County's residents who have planned and practiced a home fire escape plan are more prepared and will therefore be more likely to survive a fire. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, does hereby proclaim the week of October 6th to the 12th, 2024 as Fire Protection Week in Citrus County, Florida, and throughout the state, and urge all the people of Citrus County to make sure their homes have working smoke alarms and to support the many public safety activities and efforts of Citrus County's fire and emergency services. Executed this 29th day of October, 2024.
Thank you, Commissioners. We appreciate your support. As you know, this year's motto is to smoke alarms, to make them work for you.
Here in Citrus County, we're very thankful to have a free smoke detector program due to our community partners and donations made from citizens in the county. And we want to remind everyone to make sure that they check their smoke detectors, check the batteries. And then, of course, your smoke detectors only last a span of 10 years, and then the life is no good. We need to replace that smoke detector. And also, if you need a smoke detector installed, please feel free to contact our office at 352-527-5406. Thank you.
Anyone here from Keep Citrus County Beautiful, Pride Award, Acres of Glass, please step forward. Whereas Keep Citrus County Beautiful is an affiliate of Keep America Beautiful and Keep America Beautiful, or I'm sorry, Keep Florida Beautiful. It was incorporated in 2001 as a 501c3 nonprofit organization to encourage personal responsibility for reducing litter, promoting recycling, and beautifying our community through education, activities, and recognition. And whereas to recognize those individuals and organizations that have volunteered their time and efforts to preserve our county's natural beauty, Keep Citrus County Beautiful created the Pride Award to acknowledge their important contributions to reducing litter, promoting recycling, and beautifying our community. Now, therefore, it is with great appreciation the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, does hereby present the Keep Citrus County Beautiful Pride Award to Acres of Glass in recognition of its mission of diverting glass from our landfills by diligently and innovatively promoting recycling by creating new eco-friendly glass, sand, and mulch from discarded glass for arts, crafts, and landscaping products. Executed this 29th day of October, 2024.
So on behalf of Keep Citrus County Beautiful, we've been in partnership with the county now for over 30 years in promoting a lot of these different programs. As you all, we just finished Save Our Waters, which got kind of impacted by a couple storms, but we were able to do the coastal cleanup and a lot of the others. But we are so excited with this type of award that we're able to give out to show the community that is continuing these beautification projects, whether it's recycling, repurposing, or the roadside cleanup, the litter, the Adopt a Highway, Adopt a Shore, all these wonderful programs. So if you ever have spare time and you want to get out and help, you're more than welcome to look for Keep Citrus County Beautiful. Thank you.
You may want to, you don't recycle glass in this county. So
We do not. So the cool thing, yeah, come on, Amy.
All right. Because I get crazy, but I throw all my glass away.
You don't have to do that anymore. So I have a facility, it was once the American Irish Club, if you've been here any amount of time in Homosassa. All right. So it's 4342 West Homosassa Trail, which is across from St. Scholastica Catholic School, or church. It's St. John Paul Catholic School. But I do have glass drop-off that is available there. It's available 24/7 as long as the bins are empty. You just pull in, drop off your clean glass, just household container glass. I can't do windows and doors and things like that, but your household container glass that you normally throw away. And then I have, I'm able to crush and pulverize that into back into sand, which can be used for a plethora of uses. So stop by, give me a call. Be more than happy to show you around or explain more at that time. All right,
Anyone here for Florida Native Plant Month, please step forward. Whereas Florida enjoys an incredible diversity of 3,300 native plant species, with 574 of those designated as endangered, threatened, or commercially exploited, accounting for more than 17% of all Florida's native plant species and underscoring the need for greater public recognition of their critical habitat value and their need for preservation. And whereas native plants impart natural grace and beauty to developed landscapes, being adapted to Florida's climate and providing an attractive alternative to non-native landscaping via drought tolerance, natural resistance to pests and pathogens, while sustaining our native pollinators, birds, and wildlife. And whereas Florida enjoys showcasing our native plant communities to our citizens and visitors alike through our system of parks, forests, and preserves, and Florida being home to more national champion trees than any other state, including 3 champion and challenger trees located within Citrus County. And whereas the mission of the Florida Native Plant Society is to champion Florida's native plants and their habitats, with a membership exceeding 6,300 people from all walks of life who volunteer their time, knowledge, and skills in restoration projects, gardens, grant funding, and public outreach, teaching Floridians about the many benefits of native plants for the generations to come. Now therefore be it resolved, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida does hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 as Florida Native Plant Month in Citrus County, Florida, dated this 29th day of October 2024.
So I'm Athena Phillips with the Citrus Chapter of the Florida Native Plant Society, and I am grateful to be here today, and thank you for bringing awareness to native plants. Our upland conservation areas are essential in offsetting nitrogen pollution in our waters, and native plants and landscapes are on the front line in preventing one source of that pollution. Our coastal areas buffer from hurricane and storm damages, and native plants support a biodiverse network of life that protects our natural resources and our tourism. So nature really isn't an environmental issue, it's a community issue, and our chapter is pleased to see your support. Thank you.
Anyone here for Breast Cancer Awareness Month, please step forward. Whereas, according to the American Cancer Society, breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer among women. And whereas each year there are about 240,000 cases of women and more than 2,000 cases of men. And whereas chances are high that you know at least one person who has been personally affected by this disease. And whereas early detection and treatments can significantly increase survival rates, getting regular screenings is extremely important, and they are the most reliable way to find breast cancer early. And whereas throughout October we wear pink in honor of those with breast cancer. We believe together we can celebrate courage, express hope, and share one goal to end a disease that affects the lives of so many people we love. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Citrus County, Florida, hereby recognizes the month of October 2024 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, executed this 29th day of October 2024.
Well, hello, I'm Ruthie Davis Slaybaugh. I am a cancer survivor, and I don't know why the universe or the Lord decided to have me be diagnosed with breast cancer during my term as a commissioner, because that's punishment alone. But I really appreciate the county recognizing early detection and breast cancer awareness, and it's both men and women. So get those mammograms done. Thank you so much.
That the native plant thing brought to mind, Commissioner Bays and I were at the Florida Association of Counties Innovation and Policy Conference up in the Panhandle prior to the hurricanes visiting. And one of the presentations we sat through was an A-B selection of traditional suburbia with all the fancy plants and the this and the that. And another neighborhood was the developer did all native plantings with really an eye to sustainability in Florida with finite water resources and of course wanting to get nitrogen out of our waters. And it was pretty stunning, the difference. The economic difference for both the developer and the homeowner was very positive on the native plants. So that's something that, as we look at our land development code, I'm very much in favor of doing everything we can to go more native, because it keeps fertilizers, herbicides out of our water system, and it also reduces our water usage. So thanks to everyone for being here for those proclamations. Maricel, is this one I need to move up?
Yes.
I have a,
E7.
I'm sorry?
E7.
Under
E7,
regular-
okay.
Regular business.
E7, and then we'll roll into the time certain? Is that which the preferred order of go is? Sorry, guys, 2 meetings today. It's really fun, the paperwork. We have a time certain, and we're going to go right after time certain. You know not to address us from the audience. Thank you. E7 is an echo, E? Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
With the, sorry, I should have.
Chair, motion to approve item E7.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Finnegan. Is there any public comment on E7? Seeing none, any board discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That is to get salaries out of the room that are here until we hear that. So that's trying to be good with our tax dollars. All right. Probably should have done that for proclamations. Time certain, H1.
Should be Warden Snow coming forward. There we go.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jason Snow. I'm the warden at Citrus County Detention Facility. I've come here for the monthly update on staffing. So just to go over where we're at so far, a little bit of the history. I know there's been concerns about staffing throughout the facility, and before I got to the facility, we consistently had 30 to 38 vacancies in our history. And as we progressed into where we are now, we've been able to cut that number down drastically. We're no longer seeing those large numbers in our vacancies. Our vacancies, even at one point, we got down to 0 vacancies. Of course, there's always attrition in jobs, positive attrition. I would say in some instances, for instance, we've had people that have promoted to new positions. So we're having to fill those positions. So I would say those are positive vacancies. Currently, our vacancies are at 9 officer vacancies. We had got down to 0, and through that positive attrition and through some other attrition, we're currently at 9 vacancies. As far as certified staff in our facility, we were in the 30s for certified staff. We are at 48 now. We just graduated 11 officers from the academy. We have 12 more in the academy right now. They will be graduating in December. We have a new hire class currently that started yesterday. So we have more officers in that new hire class that we're doing. We have had some challenges this last month. We had some consistent hospital duties that impacted our staffing. However, we have had positive gains in our percentages. We're not where we want to be, but we have had some gains in that. Coordinating with the monitor, we've looked for some opportunities on where to reduce those vacancies. Better understanding what the county is looking at as far as when you're looking at what our vacancies are and saying that this post is a vacancy. I think a better understanding of that is also starting to bring down our vacancy percentages and heading us in the right direction. And we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to refine our processes going forward. So our pipeline, we're continuously monitoring that to make sure that we have a strong pipeline for hiring. Our HR department is doing a phenomenal job trying to get people in the door, get them where they need to be, getting their FDLE information filled out so that we can prepare them for the FDLE Academy. We already have 15 slots for the January Academy at the FDLE that we use. So those are all progressions of where we're going. And again, reducing those vacancy percentages and making sure that we're staffed where we need to be. Any questions?
I was just trying to find I read somewhere, and it doesn't seem to be in the backup, that there's specific, I was trying to remind myself what the name of the title is. There's a certain level of staffer that is absolutely critical. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Post, thank you. Commissioner Bays, you want to say me on this because you've done deeper dive?
Fine.
Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Those, I thought I had read something in all the reading we had to do for double meetings, that there was a positive increase in the particular positions.
Yes, ma'am.
Not necessarily, you're not hitting the numbers on the total quantity, but you're hitting the numbers on the critical post positions. Is that what it is? Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Commissioner Finnegan.
I just want to thank you, Warden, for the update, and I look forward to even more positive updates from you. And not to set the spotlight on you, but this is a perfect time too. I just want to point out to everyone how great Warden Snow was during the aftermath of the hurricane. He pulled a team of people together and got them to Homosassa, was donating supplies, many supplies, put some staff out there. So there's not prisoners, you call them when they're out, trustees. Some trustees could go out and help at the Civic Club. But even so, in a Walmart of Homosassa was very good. And then I got a call from the store manager, Tim Graff, who was very kind and gave us donations. And I said, Tim, you want me to pick them up? He's like, oh, if you could do that, that'd be great. Well, those went above and beyond what I could carry. And I called this man, and in a moment's notice, he was there to help. So I appreciate not only what you're trying to do at the jail and improving, but what you're doing in our community. So thank you for that very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And, it's about enriching our culture. That's one of the things we're focusing on at the facility, is enriching our culture, because you enrich your culture, people tend to want to stay versus looking other places. And it takes a long time. Changing a culture takes a long time, but we're trying to make strides in that direction, and thank you for your acknowledgement of that. I also want to thank Ms. Bays for her meeting with the monitor and kind of streamlining some of the release process for us. Getting that documentation it's been changing a lot, and it's definitely brought down our time to get people out the door drastically. So thank you for that.
Sure. So, any other board comments?
Sounds like we're moving in a positive direction.
Thank you, Warden. Much appreciated.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, open to the public. Anyone wishing to address the board at this time, please fill out a green card. You have 3 minutes to speak unless you're registered with us as a group, in which case you have 5 minutes to speak. Let us know that you do. All comments are to be directed to the chair. That would be me. And please state for the record your name and address. First customer? Anyone? Anyone?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Elaine Hoban. I live in Beverly Hills, and I'm going to talk about Livestream, if I may. I know we have a particular situation in our family, and so we've been very familiar with Livestream for a couple of years now, and we see firsthand some of the problems that this whole community, Citrus County, has with mental health issues. I know everyone has heard of the definition of insanity, doing something over and over again, but expecting a different outcome each time, right? We feel this kind of applies to LifeStream and Florida and Citrus County, hoping that LifeStream can accomplish whatever comes their way. But how can a Baker Act for 3 days, pumping someone full of calming drugs and then releasing them back to the community without support and therapy, help a patient with their problems? You see, our adult daughter is a high-functioning autistic with behavioral issues and was struggling with the transition from high school to adulthood. So over the past 2 years, she was Baker Act over 40 times and arrested no less than 3 times. Our sheriff's department all know our daughter very well and are equally as frustrated by the problems that she has been causing. Many places like Key Training Center won't service her because she's ineligible for APD. Her most recent arrest was a felony assault on a deputy. She is still in Citrus County Jail. At least while in jail, she is safe and can't wander, trespass, get into mischief, or run over by a car, which happened, shot as a prowler on somebody's private property, which almost happened. DCF told us to hammer our windows closed and key lock all our doors so she can't run away. Deputies are constantly telling us to find some place to place her. This so-called place doesn't exist. We tried as guardians. After too many Baker Acts to LifeStream, our daughter was assigned to community outreach program by LifeStream called Advanced Outpatient Therapy, or AOT. She attended this therapy only 1 day a week and was reduced down to once every 2 weeks. This, however, was far too little too late. She was dropped from the program because of lack of progress. Her condition requires strong daily routine and therapy and support. Since she did not get this, she reverted back to her old activities. Because she's an adult, she is allowed to do as she pleases. If LifeStream doesn't know what an autistic person needs, there should be some place for these troubled people to learn how to cope with life. So our biggest problem...
I'm sorry, thank you. I got to cut you off. Just,
Oh,
I do
okay.
the same rules for everyone, so
Okay.
I
Yeah.
apologize.
All right.
But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker. Do you have 5?
They were going to check. I had it on file. I don't know if it's expired or not. I'm hoping they found it that I have 5.
It expired in April, Chair.
Okay. This is a known organization is the
talk
problem.
Fast.
Can you fill out the paperwork before you leave,
Yes.
please? And then
got
we'll solve that. Okay, thank you.
Got it. Thank you.
Go ahead and
Cindy
do 5
Fine?
only because it's NAMI, so
Thank you.
known organization, but please do the paperwork.
I will.
I'm a stickler for the rules. Thank you.
I didn't realize. Thank you. Cindy Fine, Executive Director for NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, and I'm here representing NAMI. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Thank you. So I will get that card on file. Knowing that the LifeStream contract was being put up today, I had a number of NAMI people call me or email me things that they wanted to say and they couldn't be here. So I'm here to represent all of us. Unfortunately, we're not always able to gain the person's information to do a follow-up, with HIPAA. This lady decided to share her name. A lot of people don't want to do that, so it makes it difficult to give you very detailed specifics. NAMI is encouraged to have Gene McGee more closely involved and readily available to us. In fact, he and I spoke yesterday and we'll be speaking again soon. But here's a little update. We're still not referring to LifeStream, and I find that really a sin. That is our organization. And the reason we're not at NAMI is because when we do refer people to NAMI, they're refusing to go.
You mean when you're referring to LifeStream?
I'm sorry, yeah, when we refer them to LifeStream, they're refusing to go to the Leesburg facility, or they're refusing to go for counseling to that organization. We have received multiple continuing reports on overcrowding, disrespectful treatment by staff, and extremely filthy conditions. It is our hope that these same issues will not appear here in Citrus. We realize the facility in Leesburg is probably at and beyond capacity, which is why we need the Citrus County facilities. But the complaints of treatment and cleanliness are a grave concern for us. Because LifeStream is not operated by the county, we have little recourse to protect our peers. This is a very vulnerable population, very vulnerable. Not only the peers who are the ones living with the mental health condition, but their families. The years and years that they go through, they're very vulnerable. We are waiting with optimism to see that the conditions and treatment, when we get our building, will be held to a higher level here in Citrus County. I've commented before in Commissioner Bays's PC meeting about the MRT program, the mobile response team. I'm happy to report that I had a family member report to me that they were able to get hold of an MRT, mobile response person. She said she'd be there within the hour. She did show up within the hour. She actually brought some food because the person she was coming to visit with had not been eating. They were able to speak without confrontation for about 30 minutes, helped calm the person. She did call the sheriff's office, and the family would not allow transport to Leesburg because of prior issues with the facility. But they did praise the mobile response personnel very highly for her representation of that. So we were glad to hear that. The sheriff was able to get the family member into the car, and the family then transported them to a facility of their choosing. A week or so later, that same family needed assistance again as the person was not taking their medication. And when the CCSO arrived, the person became complacent, took the medication. The family wanted me to praise also the CCSO for their training. We still have a number of concerns that we'd like addressed before the building is completed here in Citrus County. We've been talking and talking and talking about this, going round and round. We have more complaints of more than 2 weeks for a first appointment. That's absurd. And if you know anyone with mental health, if they've said they want help, you better get it to them that day, right now, because they may never come back and they may be dead before they have the chance to come back. So that's way too long. And the out-of-county appointments, we're hoping we can get all this resolved very quickly. As mentioned, the cleanliness and respect that's available at Leesburg is very lacking. We also have still complaints about medication not received in a timely manner. We know that's basically on Genoa because LifeStream is not doing medication management at this time. But as I mentioned at the last public safety meeting, we'd really like it if LifeStream could somehow find a way to keep medications securely in county so a woman does not have to go from Hernando County to Leesburg to Citrus County with medication. And if the person doesn't show up at the end of the day, she has to go back to Leesburg to deliver it and then back home. That's not a real functional system. We hope we can fix that. The other complaint that I hear quite frequently is being released from Leesburg with nowhere to go, just being released, no one picking them up, or getting dropped off somewhere and no arrangements have been made. Multiple times we are hearing that they are taking Citrus County residents, dropping them in Ocala, where they're supposed to be able to find a bed, but no arrangement has been made for them to have a bed. So there they are, no money, no nothing, and they're not even in their own county where their family can help them. I'm concerned how that continues to keep happening. Looking forward, we are looking forward to meeting the VP for Citrus County. And ending on a positive note, the MRT is now responding to something that is not suicide. So that is a good note. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi there, I'm Becky Beatty and I represent myself this afternoon. So I've spent most of my personal life and all of my professional life trying to defend the defendless. Citrus County deserves to be protected from those that scam, exploit, or bully them. So I wanted to take a few minutes to unpack what I've seen happening in our community lately, with the hopes that people's eyes will be opened and maybe we can all come together to stop this nonsense. I read this week that Florida ranks second in the country for elder fraud, second. They are easy prey because they want to believe everything they hear is true. Affinity fraud, for those of you that don't know, is a common scamming technique where one targets their victims through a common bond, and it usually has a message of bad news or fear attached. The older people get, the more they want to hear that someone wants to protect them. So these scammers typically like to hide in places where they know they'll be automatically accepted, like churches. But here's the part that I want everyone to hear. Affinity fraud can be extremely dangerous when using the words like Christian or conservative, especially when they're going door to door to solicit votes by scaring the crap out of people with the message that poor people and gay people are bad for our community and they're coming to get our kids. That is religious exploitation and fraud and a lie and should never be allowed here. I've been watching this evolve and I am outraged by it. We have to teach people what hides behind the smooth talk. You can't secretly be a part of the very group of people that you publicly detest, promoting hate to quiet the voices of shame in your head, and then scam people for a vote using the word Christian. That is self-serving, and that is John Labriola. And here's another thing. Using positions of power to intimidate and bully has to stop. I believe that it's a commissioner's job to be a servant leader, defend the defendless, right? A county employee, bullying a county employee is never, ever okay. And I believe that it has to be, is the honor to sit in one of those chairs, that you should recognize that the people that work for the county work 10 times harder than you ever will. And they should get daily praise and appreciation, not emails full of toxic rants and insults. Commissioner Finnegan, Adam Chang, and Eric Head deserve an apology. We should all demand better from both John Labriola and Diana Finnegan, and let's all together stop the nonsense.
Next speaker.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gil Phelan from Lecanto. You know, if I seem angry, I am. After the election steal and watching my family and friends be murdered with the bioweapon vaccinations, I kind of lost my tolerance for government, so I hope you forgive me just a little bit. In only 7 days, we have the most important election in our country's history, and really my prayers we get back on track. And we need to send a clear message to the many tyrants who lie their way onto these boards and into office by pretending to be conservatives. And we got to tell them that we're no longer going to tolerate their abusive lies about not having porn in our library, putting queer displays in our children's faces, teaching CRT in our schools, promoting permanent body mutilation, pretending you can change your sex, letting boys into girls' bathrooms, letting them compete against girls in sports, sitting up there telling us how great DEI is. Meanwhile, we know it's nothing but Marxist BS. You know, spending our hard-earned money advertising for gay people to come into our county, you know, we really have that much money? We're broke. The country is broke. And that's the typical disrespect you always get too. What we need to do is privatize this board so that when a rhino lies to us about what they stand for, we can fire them, not have to suffer from them for years. Speaking of rhinos, what a glorious win we had in our primaries. A rhino who had to tell us every week they were not a rhino was fired. Let's hope the other rhino disappears too. Let's vote for Grogan. You know, sweeter still for me was the humiliating defeat of that DOJ stooge in the sheriff's office. You know, I bet arresting January 6 protesters and lying about it, I don't think it had the results he was looking for. I didn't really know why he did it until I found out about the $40 million bribe that was being dangled in front of him. Then it really all made sense. And please don't tell us to not be impertinent anymore. I haven't been told that since kindergarten. Your ordinance 2014A section 2-49C, which tries to override our First Amendment rights, it's been overturned in several states, and it's resulted in some large payouts to citizens. So as we go into a new year, I hope this board gets a clearer understanding of our relationship. You are our employees, not our rulers or our kindergarten teachers, and we can be as impertinent, rude, and insulting as we like, as long as we're not disrupting the meeting. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Dr. Carmine Kubicek from M&S Village 4. I do want to thank Commissioner Bays and Commissioner Finnegan and also the staff, including the administrator, Steve Howard, for meeting with a few of us. It was a very interesting exchange, and I learned quite a bit. The concern that I had is that your attorney had mentioned that she was aware of our situation for about 20 years. She's been an employed attorney for the commissioners as well as for us because we're paying basically through our taxes her salary. For the past 8 years, she's been sitting here and advising, hopefully advising correctly the commissioners. Also for 8 years, our Commissioner Kennard has been aware of our situation. I think it's time that something be done. I would like to see your attorney at least giving us information. She claimed that she had been in communication with the FDLE. We have on numerous occasions asked for that information, and we have yet received no response. So we really don't know what's going on with the AG or with the FDLE. And so I would like to know if, you can ask her for us on what communication has been taking place. I think investigation to the legal department needs to be done, as well as to other departments in Citrus County, because this is not right what's going on. And it just doesn't smell right. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Terry Weber-Nellis, Inverness Villages 4. My first email to Commissioner Davis was on October 15th of 2021. In October of 2022, Commissioner Davis begged Ms. Lynn not once, but twice, to find something to help us. I recall Ms. Lynn stating she has known about IV4 for 20 years. It's my understanding that it was early April of 2023 when Ms. Lynn suggested that Commissioner Davis contact the state attorney. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Around March of 2023, the board approved hiring outside legal counsel. During another BOCC meeting, Ms. Lynn stated, and I'm paraphrasing, her staff failed to do so and she takes full responsibility for that. Then the commissioners decided not to move forward with getting outside legal counsel. I suggest you reconsider that. I also am requesting that the commissioners consider adding an agenda item in the near future to discuss the continuance of Ms. Lynn's employment. The county knew about IV4 needing drainage, and that is something, in my opinion, your legal department should have brought to your attention immediately. Commissioner Kennard, I strongly disagree with you that if Ms. Lynn is replaced, she's taking a wealth of knowledge with her that can't be replaced. It's called a transition period. And the county does have 2 other attorneys on staff now. I think this county is growing too fast, and we need strong legal counsel who has the ability to work well with others. It's my opinion that Ms. Lynn has forgotten she's an employee hired by the commissioners. IV4 is approximately 130 acres with approximately 400 home sites. This is not just one dirt road with a dozen homes. How can I have confidence in Citrus County's so-called smart growth when this disaster under the current legal guidance you are depending on continues to happen? And thank you again to Commissioner Finnegan and Bays for meeting with us.
Next speaker.
Hello, I'm Lori Pettengill from beautiful Homosassa Springs. I'm here just to inform you of something that I found on Indeed, the work employment site. I like to go on that site. I learn a lot going on that site. And I was previewing it, and I suddenly found 50 jobs at Redcon Solutions Group. It's an armed security officer for FEMA support. And the position is for Crystal River, $25 an hour, full-time, 12-hour shifts. They must relocate. And I thought that's kind of strange, having a new federal agency, armed security agency here in Crystal River. And I don't know if you know about it, but I looked on the Crystal River site to see if they had what they had under FEMA. And they had disaster assistance, Federal Emergency Management Agency to be eligible, aid under the Federal Emergency Individual Assistance Program, and it says the flooding must have occurred as a result of Irma. So they're so far behind on that site in Crystal River that they're still talking about Irma. I just really believe, let's see, the apply now position, Armed Security Officer Company, Redcon Solutions Group overview. Redcon, a certified veteran-owned business, experienced federal prime contractor, is seeking skilled armed security officers to join our team. As an armed security officer, you will play a crucial role in ensuring the safety and security of designated areas. There are about 40 different areas in the state of Florida that they're trying to set up these full-time, year-round armed security offices. You must relocate or live here. And I think we have a lot of federal agencies that are armed more and more as the years go by. I mean, our U.S. Postal Service is armed. We have Bureau of Land Management heavily armed. We've got the FBI here. Now we have the Capitol Police in Tampa. And I think FEMA being an armed agency in Crystal River is inappropriate. Thank you very much.
Next speaker.
Janet Barrick, Citrus Springs resident. First, I would like to apologize. I had 2 pages stick together and I did not see the time certain. So I apologize to the board and to Mr. Snow. And I do know I'm not supposed to shout out. All right, so this morning when I was here, I asked about what was the cost of the X-ray machine, truck, car, whatever you want to call it, and where could I find that cost? The other thing is, what department is it being taken out of? Is it being taken out of the residential road resurfacing? Okay, or is it being taken out of, equipment, The other thing I had is, we were advised that they had come under budget with they under budgeted the amount for the roads right now, and they've got 23,000. Well, my question is, on 486, just north of the new Clear Sky, but south of Pine Ridge Boulevard, there is also some big chunks out of the road similar to those that were on 486 down by the Forest Ridge area that they redid. Were they going to possibly use that 23,000 to work on getting that repaved? Because I know 491 does need work, okay? But these are actual chunks that are out of it, not just the grass growing up in it. And I was wondering if that, that were going to be one of the things happening with that extra 23,000, or is it going to cost too much? And would it be put into the 24-25 budget so that all of the county roads are maintained and up to standard for 50 to 55 mile an hour driving? Thank you for your time.
Would anyone else like to speak? Going once, going twice. Close, open to the public. Board. Commissioner Kennard.
Thank you. To the folks that came up here and had some comments, concerns about Livestream, thank you. We appreciate hearing those. I believe that Livestream is hearing those. Thankfully, it sounds like there's going to be much improved communication. with Mr. McGee's involvement with them and the interaction between Livestream and the residents that they serve. So please do not hesitate to continue to bring your concerns to the board. We want to hear these things. I know Livestream wants to do better. They want to serve our community better. They will continue to do so. Thankfully, this December, finally we'll be breaking ground, or they'll be breaking ground on a new facility here that I believe will help to solve many of the issues that we've been dealing with, or that their patients have been dealing with. I hear the comments about the prescriptions, having medications available. That has all been being discussed about handling that at this new facility. So I was glad to be a part of that. I was glad this board supported that, as did the state legislature and Hernando County Board of County Commissioners. This is a great team effort that will serve our area, both Citrus and Hernando, very, very well, and I'm anxious for it to come to fruition. Inverness Village is 4. I've kind of reached a point with this where some things need to be said, I believe. I don't mean them to sound as insensitive as they're going to be, but there's an awful lot of people that bought homes on dirt roads. You were lied to by somebody, whether it's a builder, developer. You were lied to that somehow or another, magically, your roads were going to get built by the county. That was not the county that said that. It was a private individual that many people dealt with. That, to me, certainly sounds like fraud, and I hope that the FDLE report comes back with that, that you were lied to, and there is some recourse there. However, now all of a sudden, it's the county attorney's fault. That is absolutely not the truth. Very, very far, way off base. She is here to advise the county commission. She's not here to serve as individual homeowners attorney, homeowners association's attorney, anybody else in the community. She is here for the board to advise us and keep us out of legal trouble. I hear that we want a solution. I've said it before, I will say this again. The solution is an MSBU. I would ask the staff to put together an MSBU plan. Obviously, it's too big of a number to put together in one fell swoop. If it needs to be a staged plan or a stepped process to do one street at a time, whatever that looks like, there are brighter minds than mine that can figure that out. Bring that to the board. Whatever that number is, I'm a yes. I am going to vote to put an MSBU in place so we can pave your roads, we can build them, we can build the drainage system. I hope that number comes in at much lower of a number than what was initially estimated, but this problem needs to be a solution, and the MSBU is a solution. The FEMA guards, I was surprised as well why we have armed guards at these FEMA locations, and it makes sense. Not everybody that comes in there is going to get the answer that they want. There are going to be frustrations. They're looking for more out of the federal government than the federal government is prepared to deliver to them. Not everybody is well behaved when dealing with people that work with FEMA, and so ultimately, these folks, the FEMA employees, cannot be left out there fully exposed to individuals who may have unfortunately lost everything in these floods, and now all of a sudden they're prepared to take it out on an unarmed individual who's there simply to go by the rules.
All done? I'm done. Nice rant. Anyone else? That was a joke, guys, seriously. I appreciate everything he said. Anyone? Go. Commissioner Bays.
On live stream, yes, we have been having several meetings on trying to get some better clarification and direction on the services being provided. I do hear on a very routine basis the dissatisfaction. We had a staff meeting with Mr. McGee and Mr. Hankey recently, and much to my surprise, they indicated that there's $9 million of funding, not all for one bucket, different buckets of monies for different services, which I'm still waiting to hear what those services are and how those buckets get funded. So I am still looking forward for that, and I think needs to be a more comprehensive approach to how we're going to deliver these services. We hear many times people come here, whether you have a child that has schizophrenia, they are highly autistic, and there just really are no services out there. So I'm sorry for that. I sympathize with you, but we continue to work on it. So it's a tough hill, tough battle. I mean, I've met with many people from NAMI and the families that are struggling. So we need to do better. We can do better. So hang in there with us. And the last thing I would say about that, you know, you can build a pretty building, but if we don't get the staff, we need the staff. They need to be the right staffing. And there's no reason why we can't have that staff here now. If we're going to make appointments for people, then they should be staffed appropriately. There's no point in us jumping through hoops to get somebody transported to a meeting, and then they get there and they set them in front of an iPad, or they just cancel the appointment. So we need to do a better job at this, and I'm hopeful that with our partnership, we're going to continue to work through this. I did see where it looks like they potentially have to provide accountability through the managing entities, and if they have to do that, I would love to see those reports back to us. So, you know, that's something I've asked for. I'd love to see the reports on and see who we're serving, how we're serving, and I can tell you in some of my conversations, you don't know what you don't know because you're not getting to all the people. So what they're reporting on is only the people that are in front of them. And you've heard today, there's many people that have they're going someplace else for the services, so you don't know what you're missing out on. And you are the selected provider for this community, and we need to really drill into it. IV4. What is the status update with the AG or FDLE or whoever it is?
The request that the board sent to the Attorney General's office was assigned to an investigator at the Attorney General's office, who in turn turned it over to an investigator with the FDLE. That investigator, every time that I have spoken with him, is working the case. That's what I've been told. I've been told that he's met with many individuals within IV4. He's met with a lot of people that he's told me. As the board is aware, maybe the public isn't, but ongoing criminal investigations are not available for public. They're not. You can't do a public records request. The investigations are sealed until they're completed. So at this point, I have nothing from the investigator. He is continuing to investigate, and I'm sure that as soon as he's completed his work, he is going to release, you know, whatever his findings are. I assume that some of the people from Inverness Village 4 have spoken with him. He certainly has the names of the individuals that spoke here today, because I've personally made sure that he knows that he needs to speak with at least those individuals among all of the other individuals in Inverness Village 4. So if they haven't spoken to him yet, I'm sure that they will be speaking to him in short order.
Well, I'm somewhat concerned. I mean, this has been going on since January this year, and I will tell you at my meeting, I specifically addressed that very question. Have you spoke with anybody through either the Attorney General or the FDLE, and whether the people that were there that day or anybody that they know, and they've all indicated no. So I at best, I would like for us to reach back out. Give us, I mean, we're going into the 11th month now, so I think they need to tell us something, some kind of a status report, like if none of these people have heard from them, and I haven't heard from anybody, nobody's contacted me, and I asked staff that day, nobody from staff's heard anything from them, so I think it's time that we get some information on that, and And
address that when I speak to
I'm
it,
happy
but
to give
anyway.
you each his phone number and you each can speak with him.
Okay, that'd be great. And the other thing that I would like to address on the roads, I think I've heard all of this about the MSBU for the roads and the paving and the drainage. And yes, there's everything has gone wrong in this. It's the classic case of everything going wrong. But if we're not to take care of them and they're not to take care of those roads, it is fundamentally just makes absolutely no sense. You have horrific rainstorms that wash this out. We don't grade those roads to make them passable, and yet they're prohibited from grading those roads and making them passable. So I'm a little confused at why and who and what, whether it's DEP or Swift Mud. I mean, I guess at some point, there's enough blame to go around for everybody. Maybe we all need to get in a room and hash it out, duke it out, whatever we got to do. But I think, at minimum, what these people really want is they just want a passable road. It looks like a third world country out there. I mean, there's no roads that really are in alignment on some of them. I'm concerned about the fact that we're issuing permits when there's not water hookups. I'm concerned that we're issuing permits when there's no CO, there's no electric at the house when the CO is issued. We've got too many problems to be letting these things perpetuate. So whatever we need to do to kind of lock it down, I don't know what that is, but Mr. Howard, I mean, this has gone on. I've been on this board for 2 years. You've been here with us almost 2 years. So I'm asking, what can we expect? When can we expect it? And whether it's a workshop, whatever, getting this work back, for the roads, the MSBU for paving or whatever we're going to do. When can we expect that back?
That's a loaded question. I wish I could, I'm a psychic, I could do that, I could give it to you today, but we are working based on that meeting we had a few weeks ago. Staff is already looking at what a cost estimate is just to look at that, a phased approach. We actually have that number. We're just gonna look at and analyze it. Obviously, the board would have to agree to spending some money to do that. The rest of these issues I'd have to look at with legal again, and as well as what we can and can't do, and bring all those parties together. But it's definitely a complicated matter that's been going on since, my understanding, 1972. So a lot of issues there, but we are going to bring that forward soon to see if the board would be willing to the next cost estimate for looking at this phased approach. So that'll be coming shortly.
So then every meeting, can you bring us back a status report, where we're at, where the process is, what you know to date, so that this, I mean, I feel like they do. We're on a hamster wheel, can't get off. We hear it every meeting. And I would like to, at least for staff, to know what they're looking at, where the progress is, where we're lacking, what's the status. And I just think if we do that every meeting, we're ahead of it. I'd like to hear.
Yep,
I
well,
want to hear, I know they want to hear.
I'll give you whatever I can give you. So what I know and what I can give you, we'll share with you every meeting.
Well, I mean, at least that way you're telling us.
Yep,
Staff
exactly
hasn't
right.
done anything in 2 weeks.
Yep.
Or staff has made this progress in 2 weeks, or we've looked into this, but I think it's time. I mean, it's been going on a very long time. I'm sure so we owe it to these people, these 400 people that have bought lots, or maybe not all 400 because the bad guys out there, but let's, like you always say, we got to put it in action.
We'll do it. We'll bring forward whatever we can bring forward.
Madam Chair, can I interject for just a second?
Yes, sir.
I promise it'll be brief. Steve, you just said something that concerns me. The county taxpayers who did not buy on these dirt roads are already footing the bill for the engineering to come up with the MSBU. I think that was $60,000 that they're already on the hook for. These are people who did not make that decision. Now you just said you're going to bring it back to the board for the board to spend some more money on. When do the taxpayers get their money back? those costs need to be included in the phase one. Again, I hope that phase one number comes in as low as it possibly can. Whatever that number is, I'm a yes. And I hope there's two others up here that'll be a yes, and we're going to start solving this problem.
And what I was talking about was really conceptual, what that cost would be. Obviously, I can't spend money, and we can't do this without engineers to certify this. So without a certified plan, we can't do that at a staff level. So somebody's going to have to spend money in advance to do this project, or we're wasting all of our efforts here today.
It was
It's just
30,
not-
it was 35,000 was
Yeah.
the first engineering
This
study.
hasn't been figured out in the last,
If I recall
50
correctly.
years. So it's going to take a lot to actually get to the finish line, and some of that's going to be the F-bomb to get there. And I agree with that, but we can't at a staff level, certify plans and things like that to get to an MSBU. We have to be able to pass that on. I agree with that, but there's a cost associated with that.
I do think that, just 1 minute, if we're just on the topic of IV4, we need to wait for FDLE to finish because they have to be finishing soon, I would think. And I had intended to have talked to the investigator, but of course I was attached to emergency management, and you may have heard we've had a few of those lately. So Ms. Lynn is going to get me the phone number, and I will call and find out. I assume it is sealed to even me, to Ms. Lynn. It's sealed to everyone, so I will not get any details as to how it's going, but at least maybe I can get a timeline, like when is the expected conclusion of the investigation, so we can start to plan ahead a little bit. So,
Nan?
yes.
So what I've been doing with the investigator is basically helping with documentation, steering the investigator to where, this has been going on since 1972, as we know, and I have been involved in it, as the women have said, for over 20 years. I've lived here since 1997, so anybody that's lived here has heard of Inverness Village 4. The platted recorded subdivision with unconstructed roads and without a drainage facility. So there's no way you can live here and not know that. So what I've been doing is providing information. I have not received any analysis or opinions or findings from the investigator. So I don't want you all to think that I'm hiding information that I've learned, but I have just simply been providing information to the investigator. So just
Well, an
wanted to be clear on
investigation
that.
being sealed that's common sense, so that's very believable. Commissioner Finnegan.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm struggling with a little bit of a sore throat. But since we're on IV4, when I met with our friends at IV4 and staff, we did like that approach of taking it in stages, but just so there's no shock value, I think that we were concerned along with staff for that the drainage is the drainage for the neighborhood. So if you partial that out, it takes out a lot of people that help pay for that MSBU in the first stage. So we just need to, I don't know, greater minds than ours, engineer minds, like you said, would have to figure that out for drainage. Can the drainage actually be broken up in phases? If not, we know that that is going to be the most expensive thing. So that might just be the only hiccup in a stage plan, is Xing out that second or third phase of people to help pay for it.
I think certainly that's something that can be fleshed out in the process, but that looks to me like that's likely a separate MSBU. The drainage would be separate and applied to everybody to start with, and then you build the roads with a secondary MSBU. Just a thought, because it is a concern. You're right, the big drainage area is for the whole neighborhood. And there will be big numbers, hopefully much less than what was originally came out of that first estimate. But I agree, it's time to solve the problem, and they'll be maybe a little bit happier with it when it's done. They won't be happy about the MSBU's, but they'll be happy to have roads and drainage and not flooded houses.
Well, again, the whole reason that we sent that letter that I wrote to the Attorney General is to hopefully get some sort of financial relief for the residents on that, from the bad people, not from taxpayers. I know, but you got to just hope for the best, right? Can't say I didn't try.
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, where was I? Do you have anything else? Commissioner Schlebaugh, do you have anything?
I think you covered it all.
Okay. One little note for if growing too fast, just to assuage everyone's concerns, we are forecast to grow 1% a year for the next 20 years. So, okay, and I think that's it. All righty. We already did, no, we didn't. This is,
Madam
we're on to
Chairman.
E.
Madam
Yes.
Chairman, I move to approve E1A through F.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schlebaugh, second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comment on E1?
Janet Barrick, Citrus Springs resident. I looked at E1F, and in all the backup material, it said that the money is coming from the 23-24 budget that was not used, but it was not carried forward. And I was wondering why it wasn't carried forward. Now, I can understand that the fire department does a very good job. I've been very happy with everything I've ever seen. They have budgeted everything they wanted, but why would this occur that it wasn't carried forward and shown that it was hopefully going to be used for this item?
Mr. Howard?
Chief Stevens, please.
These are opioid funds that are being utilized to purchase this. So, and of course, the state's budget's at a different time than what the county budget's at. So they had to reallocate the funding back to us.
Okay. Thank you. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve E2.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Schlebaugh. Is there any public comment? Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve E3, A, and B.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Finnegan, second by Commissioner Kennard. Any public comment on E3? Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve E4, A, B, and C. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Schlebaugh, second by Commissioner Bays. Is there any public comment on E4? Any board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve E5.
Second.
It's leaving.
Motion by Commissioner Finnegan, second by Commissioner Schlebaugh. Is there any public comment? Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve E6.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kennard, second by Commissioner Schlebaugh. Is there any public comment on E6? Is there any board discussion?
I deferred to the commissioner in Homosassa, but I guess her voice is bad.
Trying to save that voice.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve E8,
Second.
A, B.
Motion by Commissioner Bays, second by Commissioner Schlebaugh.
With A, B.
Is there any public comment on E8? Any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Motion to approve E9.
Anyone? Motion by Commissioner Schlebaugh. I'll second it. Second by Commissioner Davis. Is there any public comment? Let's have Medfleet up first. Yeah. 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jeff Taylor. I'm the Chief Operating Officer from MedFleet Ambulance. I wanted to clarify our position on some things. You know, we've taught our employees, taught our children to trust the process. So that's what we're doing. We're trusting the process and we're gonna make the right decisions. MedFleet's been in business for 31 years. We offer 5 different levels of service: ALS, BLS, specialty care. We offer non-medical service, or non-medical stretchers, and community paramedicine. In 2020, MedFleet was asked to step in and help Nature Coast EMS. We did so. We did so under an MOU. We did so at extreme cost to us because it was the right thing to do, because the county asked us to step in and help. We've done that. We have continued to help in this county in that perspective, which allows the fire department to continue to meet the 911 response times. MedFleet's invested into Citrus County. Prior to having that COPCN, we had people, we had trucks, we had infrastructure here. We've continued to do so. We've provided great service in this county in the last 4.5 years. By representative of, you know, the conversations with the fire chief, representatives with the CEOs of the major healthcare facilities, and our customers that come forward to us. This is the 3rd time in 3 years that I've been in front of you to try to defend this position. Each time we are hundreds of thousands of dollars more down the road. An ambulance costs us about $250,000 to fully equip and put into play. That's not a cheap endeavor. We've invested over $1 million+ just in the last couple of years. I've met with all of you either by telephone or by personal meetings, and I always conclude our meeting to see if there's any feedback that you've received from your constituents about a poor job that we've done, any complaints, any issues. And the answers are historically no. We hear no comment or no complaints about MedFleet. The process says in Section D, they're going to have a statement of facts showing the need and the demand for the proposed service. This application came forward to you, and I would tell you part of this is the same as the last 2 applications came forward. There's not a factual demand that said, people said, oh my gosh, we have to have this. So that process that says they must present, we don't even believe has been met. Now, they did say some things in there that, yes, we're one private provider, but there's also the hospital-based provider. You have another hospital-based provider coming up to you again in the next few weeks. That's 3 ambulance providers plus the fire department. So when we look at this free trade component, we have to wonder exactly how that's trusting the process if we haven't met the letter of the application. When we look at this, we stated that part of the conversation in the application was it would help with
I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor.
No, I get it. I
It's
get
the
it.
same rules for everyone.
I'm fine with that. Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Do we have to state our address?
Just
Okay.
name it.
My name's Thomas Quinn. I handle the professional relations for MedFleet Ambulance. I've been with MedFleet Ambulance now for just about 15 years. I work as a firefighter full-time, and I do the professional relations part-time to meet with the hospital. So I'm the liaison between the hospital systems and MedFleet Ambulance. So what I want to kind of encourage by this is an evaluation of facts moving forward with the COPCN process. So they're asking to add an additional service inside of Citrus County. Already you have TGH, which is starting to provide ambulance service. You have MedFleet, which is providing ambulance service. And then soon you'll be having HCA come before you, which is a hospital-based system providing ambulance services. So pretty soon you have 3 systems. To put that in perspective, Pasco County, which has 9 hospitals and 630 residents, has 3 ambulance systems inside Pasco County alone. And it was able to service them at a high level with the critical care. And those 3 systems, which is Advent, MedFleet, and AMR, is able to service that county. In the perspective of Citrus County, you guys have 166,000 residents, and you're talking about a 1% increase over 20 years. So I'm not saying that maybe the need might not be there for a 4th ambulance service, but right now, the need, I don't think is there. A meeting with our hospital systems and our community providers, just matter of fact this morning, they're very pleased with us. You guys know we were able to evacuate the hospital 2 years in a row without any kind of assistance from Citrus County Fire Rescue. We know that the hospitals had to be evacuated. I met with TGH this morning, and they were pleased with our progress and how we're responding to them and taking to those systems. So the two major hospital systems inside your county are supporting MedFleet in what we do. The second that we'd like to consider inside this is really the guys out there in the field that are doing the job, and really thank them for what they're doing. They're out there every day, pushing forward, making sure that we're being timely on our transports. We know that sometimes time is in our favor and sometimes time is against us. But our crew's out there doing their support every day and moving forward with this. So I'm here kind of today to say, hey, as somebody that's been in the field for quite a long time, I'm not saying eventually maybe you might not need 4 ambulance services, but today, I don't think in what you're dealing with today and the years coming forth, I don't believe you need a 4th ambulance service inside this area.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem.
Good afternoon. My name is Brian Half. I'm the Director of Support Services for MedFleet Ambulance. I've been in the ambulance industry many, many years. I'm not going to tell you how long because then it reflects on me. So, but what I'll just tell you is the commitment that MedFleet has made to Citrus County, okay? Currently, we staff 3 ambulances up here in our Lecanto operation, and it goes from BLS, ALS to critical care. At any time in this county, based on the need, we could have from 3 up to 7 to 10 ambulances. Our main hub is in Hernando County, where we have 18 additional ambulances. As total for MedFleet on the West Coast, we have 28 ambulances. I have another 6 ambulances coming by the end of the year. And these ambulances, like Jeff spoke of, you know, they're not cheap. They go from 165,000 without equipment, you know, when we start adding life packs, monitors, and all that, you're over $200,000. That's a big commitment to an area. And if you bring another provider in, then that commitment might not be there. That's the whole thing. We've made that commitment the last couple of years when we've been up here. Like we said, we've done a job up here. We continue to make the commitment by bringing these resources up here. So I just think you need to just look at that and see what you already have. We have a lot of our employees live in Citrus County. We actually hire and employ some of the Citrus County Fire Rescue guys over with MedFleet. We use a lot of the vendors in Citrus County also to maintain our vehicles. We have the car wash, we have our radios and our modems all installed over here in Lecanto. So I just want you to realize what you have here right now, and we continue to bring resources into this county. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, everybody. My name's Alberto. I'm here representing eCare Ambulance. We're currently headquartered in Monroe County, but we recently made an investment into Citrus County. Just to let you all know what kind of investment and how serious we are about Citrus County is that we secured a lease for 5 years. It's in Homosassis. It is a 4,500 square foot facility. It's going to have enough storage for over 10 vehicles here in Citrus County. It's also going to have living quarters. That way we can provide 24/7 service transports throughout the county. When it comes to the investment, we're planning to bring out 6 ambulances right off the bat here. And as you've heard many people talk about, these ambulances are very expensive. 6 ambulances is over $1 million investment. And we're bringing this to the county right away. You know, when it comes to experience, we've been doing transports for over 10 years, medical transports, getting close to 15 years at this point. When it comes to ambulance service, it's been about 4 years that we've been working on that kind of stuff. We've looked at the numbers. We're not just thinking about what could happen or what cannot happen. We've looked at the numbers, we looked at the data, and we got the numbers from MedFleet, right? In MedFleet's objection letters, they talk about how many transports they do per year or whatnot. In Monroe County, we have less transports than in Citrus County. And in Monroe County, there's over 5 providers. So in Monroe County, there's 5 providers that are profitable, financially able to sustain this kind of transports. So there's enough meat here for everybody. There's enough work for everybody. We're not here to try to replace MedFleet. What we're trying to do is provide additional services. We have a different business model. We're aiming to do different types of transports, but we're also going to be providing better resources to the county by lowering the ETAs. And you're going to hear from our team and our time here in Citrus County interviewing these underserved facilities. It's not just the hospitals. There's many different types of facilities here in Citrus County, and we need to make sure that their needs are being met. And based on our conversations with them, their needs are not being met. When it comes to certain types of transports, the wait times are over an hour. Critical care transport, always, we're hearing over an hour, 2-hour wait. We need a critical care transport here in Citrus County, 15-minute wait time for everybody. There's other types of medical services that the county could provide to their residents. It could create more business if facilities can do extra types of medical treatments that they can't provide right now because there's not reliable transport. If they need to make sure that someone's going to be somewhere at a specific time, not within a window of time, but at a specific time, these types of transports would open up more business to the county. So again, we're not trying to replace anybody. We're trying to bring in additional types of transports that are not being met right now, and to provide better service to everybody. We are committed to being here. Like I said, well, thank you for your time.
My name's Caitlin Armstrong. I'm the Operations Director for eCare Ambulance. I'm here to speak to you today a little bit about myself and what we do. So I graduated from the University of South Florida shortly after I entered into emergency medicine. My roles have ranged from firefighter, paramedic, adjunct faculty at 3 different companies. I'm also an instructor at 3 different colleges. I've written medical protocols and been involved in the QA and quality metric processes, utilize that data in order to produce better services for the citizens. I've also consulted in development and implementation of training programs in 3 surrounding counties to provide better care to their communities. Between me and my coworker in the back, a veteran of the U.S. Air Force, we bring over 45 out-of-hospital medicine years, inclusive of instructor certifications for 5 nationally recognized classes. These specialize in special patient populations from pediatrics to geriatrics, cardiac care to trauma life support. We're affiliate faculty as well for the National Association of EMTs, who sets the standard of care for EMTs and paramedics. We've both produced self-sustaining training programs for other agencies, leaving a higher level of care for citizens in these communities. I've met with multiple skilled nursing facilities, assisted living facilities, and hospitals to discuss their needs. The message was resounding about the issues related to non-emergency ambulance transport. We need more providers. Out-of-hospital facilities noted unreliable arrival times, significant costs to the patient or family or facility, no call, no show, difficulty with evacuations because one provider simply cannot evacuate an entire county, and fire rescue cannot be responsible for this. Hospital visits noted wait times between 3 to 8 hours, not arriving at the scheduled time, nor communicating a delay, not consistently providing ALS or CCT, and at times taking equipment and a nurse from the hospitals to provide this critical care. HCA stated they have to contract companies outside of the county because MedFleet refuses to transport outside of Citrus County. We're here to provide a resource that the community is asking for. The letters and surveys we provided to you display that need. To reference a letter you have from Vitas Hospice, patients who had final wishes to have peaceful passing in their own homes were not afforded this opportunity because the level of care for transport was not available to transport that patient to their home. Freestanding emergency rooms are only equipped with so much. We have critical patients needing a specialist such as a cardiologist, pulmonologist, or trauma services. These critical patients are being held for multiple hours rather than receiving specialty care at another hospital. This is an issue of public safety. MedFleet may have been here for a long period, and that's commendable. I'm not here to diminish anything they've accomplished. The letters and surveys from facilities that you have received show there's a clear need for improvement. Our presence in Citrus does not detract from currently available resources, but rather to provide an additional resource to the county. Obtaining our COPCN does not grant us business. Our professionalism, customer service, and patient care are the only ways that we can maintain business. Thank you.
Way to stick the landing.
Commissioners, hey, I'm Dr. Gould. I'm a local ER doctor. I've been here about 5.5 years, first at Citrus, and now I'm over with Tampa General. And I will say this first. The patients always eventually get to where they're going, but the problem is because I'm being delayed. I work at the freestanding, And just recently, we had one where I had a critical patient, heart rate of 130, on cardiac medicine drip, blood thinner drips. There was no critical care ambulance, no ambulance that could transport it. We had to send one of our nurses over with the EMS crew. We get a lot of times they come there, we get a time frame, but they get diverted. Sometimes there's a higher level call. So they'll say, okay, well, the one that was supposed to get there between 1 and 1:30, that one got diverted. So the one that was supposed to be there 2:30 for that second patient is now going to be your 1-to-1. That's going to be your 1 to 1:30 is now going to 2:30. Then we'll have that one go to the hospital, come back and get your other patient. So some of these patients can sit for hours. That can really help our beds. What happened to me is I was actually talking to a former colleague of mine, Dr. who's their medical director, and we were just talking, and he mentioned how he was their medical director. I said, wow, we need another company here, and it's just times, get everything done. It just, I know I heard them talk about they have all these ambulances in the county. There's times that we get told there's no ambulance in the county, we have to send someone up. Or they have a BLS, which can't transport people who are on drips and things like that, so we get delays. We had a recent one where they said they were not able to transport, and we had to call 911 to take someone up to Shands, a pediatric patient. And we get that sometimes with the surgical patients. Acute appendicitis, needs to go to surgery, and we're told, okay, we can get there in an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half. Well, we end up calling 911 to get them over to the hospital the surgeon's waiting for. So like I say, and I know I hear about the TGH and HCA are going to have their own ambulance. None of them are operating at this time. And those are for future use. They're looking for it. Yeah, at some point we're going to do this. But maybe if the service improves, they won't need to do that. And my other question is, if the CEOs are so happy, why would they get their own ambulance service? So it means they definitely see a need for it. And this is what it'd be great to have two services. We call one, hey, I can't get there for an hour and a half. You call the second one. And so we get a little bit more, to improve service. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Attorney Administrator, Madam Clerk. Josh Wooten, President, CEO of the Citrus County Chamber of Commerce. As someone who frequently rides in ambulances, I feel I'm an expert.
Speaking on behalf of the chamber? I'm sorry, Josh. Are you speaking? I'll start your time over. Are you speaking on behalf of the chamber?
Yes. Yes, I don't think I'll take the 5 minutes though. But so I think the test here as commissioners, first of all, I hate that y'all have to call these balls and strikes. But the test for you should be, is there a need? That's even MedFleet said that. And by the way, I rode in one of their ambulances and they were professional and I wish them well and I think they're going to thrive even if you add an additional service. But so the test is there a need? And I think what you've heard from the community is, and nobody wants to bash the other company, but what you've heard is there is a need. There's definitely a need. My research on this subject, since I knew it was going to be on the agenda, is I've been told by most of the big players in town and even the smaller facilities that there is a need. Certainly in state of emergencies, we know there's a definite need. I don't think there's any question in anybody's and has an extreme amount of talent. I hope you do not choose not to give them a chance to serve our citizens and our local businesses. I think there is enough to go around. I don't think the two hospitals, one of which hasn't asked you yet, that's HCA, they're not going to be out competing in the market, I don't think. I think they're doing inter-hospital transports, like from here down to Tampa and other HCA hospitals, and then the rest of it, and there's a lot of it. I didn't even realize the transfer from hospice to home, or from home to hospice, or from hospice to the hospital, into life care. And that a matter of hours can mean a lot to your family in a case like that. So I think this competition makes everybody a little bit better. And I would hope that you would realize that we're a growing community. And when we have a company of this caliber, of this talent, of the education that you saw presented here, that we give them a chance to operate. It's a 5-year deal, and I think you'll see that they'll live up to everything that they're telling you. I've checked them out, and I think they're going to be a real asset to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Janet Barrick, Citrus Springs. I think it would be a wonderful thing to have this group here, because that means we are getting positive notice from other places. We are a growing community. We just had 2 water events, and you gotta have ambulances over there. But what happens to the people at the riverside now? We're gonna need ambulances over there. And what happens to people in the middle, in the center section? Our population is not getting younger. We may be adding, but we're not getting younger. And people are going to the hospital more and more. They're going from the hospital to the assisted living. We have to have transportation available somehow. This group seems to know what they're doing. They have a good reputation. And I think it would be wonderful that we have people coming to us that want to do this for our community.
Anyone else? Going once, going twice? We'll close open to the public. So I believe there,
Madam Chair, point
Yes.
of order. I
Yes.
made the motion.
You want to go?
Well, I made the motion.
Okay, so you go.
Gotta keep them in line.
I don't know if that's a point of order. That was
It is,
just
it is.
courtesy.
It's a point of order.
My apologies.
Medfleet, where are you? Where's my people? Hey, so, you know our history. There was one that came I don't know, last year for COPCN, and I voted against it. And then when Tampa General came up for their aviation, obviously do that. I did understand that Tampa General is hospital to hospital. It's not the same market. My first thought when I looked at this is we've got Medfleet, I'm a big supporter. But then as I dug into it, I realized that there is a lot of, I believe that our industry is medical, not tourism. And I know that is opposite of what a lot of people believe. But we're growing and we need to strengthen our medical community, our medical industry. I'm very surprised Janet came up here and said that. Thank you. I expected you to say the opposite, so look at you. I made the motion because I do think that there is a need and it wouldn't be in competition with Medfleet. I think it would make us stronger as a community. We do have hospice. We have over 40 ALSs or assisted living and also nursing homes. And bringing in the 2 hospital COPCNs, that just seems like they're not going to be any kind of backup for the community itself. They're going to do hospital to hospital, and I don't know if, I hear that HCA wants a COPCN, but I don't know if that's come forward or, I mean, I've just heard that might happen. So I'm going to support it. I think it'll make our community stronger, and I have to think about the citizens. We are growing, and, you know, as a business owner, I don't think we should just have one company doing this service. I think we need a backup, and I think it will make everybody stronger. And, you know, and in a year, you're going to know if this isn't working. In 5 years, you're going to know if this isn't working, because if a business isn't making the money they need to make from their investment, they're not going to continue to do it. And so I'm going to support it. I think that as a commissioner, that we're looking at economic development. We want businesses to come to our community. We haven't been very friendly with development, so we have to look at our medical industry and support it. So I am going to vote for this.
Commissioner Finnegan.
Well, As a commissioner and a business owner, I do believe that competition is a good thing. I think having multiple businesses is good, but here's my concern for this now, and this is why I'm not for it. It was only a few months ago that this board determined that there wasn't a need for an additional company with a COPCN. And the hospitals now are going to do that transport, where MedFleet does not have to do that. So that only opens up more time and more ambulances for them. So just now are things coming from a new group saying, hey, people have been experiencing some issues at the last minute that we're hearing this, but I don't know when those were. Now they're going to have more employees, more time, more dedication to Citrus County. And let me clear up why that may sound conflicting. Competition is good, but here's not. Another company coming from way out of town and taking some of this business. I worry about for our citizens, the company that has set up roots and has made Citrus County a priority would maybe then have to prioritize somewhere else. We cannot have multiple companies here, and then Citrus County is not a priority for anyone. They have made the priority. And in the time that we said no, however many months ago until now, I haven't heard any issues at all. Matter of fact, I've heard glowing reports and how MedFleet did very well after the hurricanes, or before the hurricane, excuse me, for preparing for the disaster. So I haven't heard in that time anything to the contrary until right now. So maybe things will change. Maybe people will start reaching out to us and showing a need. Maybe that need, whatever problems were experienced before, gets filled by the extra time and dedication MedFleet has to Citrus County. But my fear right now is having Citrus County not being a priority at all. So that's my 2 cents, ma'am.
Commissioner Kennard?
Commissioner Finnegan stole my thunder. First of all, there was Commissioner Slaybaugh said something, and it was mentioned a couple times up at the podium, that it would not cut into their business. It absolutely will cut into their business. This will decrease the number of transports for a business that is investing in our community. Now, normally, I would sit up here and argue for free market. If it's for a business selling widgets, a chiropractic office, a business supply office, whatever. The investment in infrastructure in those types of businesses are significantly different than the investment in an ambulance service. What we want out of our ambulance service is a company that is investing heavily, not only in their equipment, but in the staff on those ambulances. I can tell you from a commissioner standpoint, I have had zero complaints on MedFleet, none. Since the county took over ambulance service, I've had 0 complaints on our ambulance service at all. So that tells me that things are working pretty good there. And then to hear the investment that MedFleet continues to make in our community, as obviously the county commission and fire rescue EMS are making additional investments as well, those services are only going to improve. So normally I would argue the competition is good. In this case, not as much. If there are complaints out there about the service that's being rendered, we need to hear about it so that we can go to MedFleet and say, your timing is awful. You're giving these people a window of an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it might be. I'll share a personal story with you. We had a member of our family, unfortunately, had to go to the emergency room at Tampa General over in Crystal River. Once he received fantastic care in the ER there, and the ER physician there determined that he needed to be transported to Tampa General down in Tampa. They contacted MedFleet. I want to say it was 13 minutes, 14 minutes, and they had a critical care transport there. He received excellent service being transported down there. Once we got up into a room at Tampa General, the paramedic or whoever the personnel was that was in the truck with him stayed there with him until the staff there at Tampa General took over, got all the information and left. I could not have, honestly, from a personal standpoint, I could not have higher praise for them. I hope that this board does not make this decision at this time when a company is making this kind of investments in our community to cut them off at the knees. It's not saying anything bad about EMed or any of the services they offer down in Monroe County, but we've got a local company investing heavily in our community, and we should be supportive of that.
Commissioner Bays?
Josh Wooten from the chamber said, "Is there a need?" So I guess my biggest thing, what I said to myself was, from both companies, where's your business case analysis of, yes, you need it, or no, you don't? Neither one provided that. There's no cost and demand. I have no idea what our current numbers are. And does this benefit our citizens? Which led me to the next thing, to look at what does our municipal code say? And it says that the Board of County Commissioners shall consider recommendations of the Public Safety Director, which is outdated, and it would be, I guess, I don't know if it would be Chief Stevens or if it would be Jason Morgan. And that we can do one of two things. Either we can have a public hearing or we can bypass the public hearing and make a determination. My real question is, what is, and I'm probably going to need a little help from legal, what does this mean? I mean, our code seems to be lacking, so either we're going to allow free market or we're going to regulate it, and I can't garner that out of this municipal code.
Madam Chair. So the code basically, as you stated, it requires you to receive a recommendation from the fire chief on the application. The fire chief has provided the application to you saying that the applicant has met all of the requirements of the application. The applicant has checked all the boxes, so to speak. So then when it comes to the board, the code provides that you can either take action on the application or you can request that the application be held in a public hearing, which would be an opportunity to gather more information and evidence. But if you choose not to have, so your first choice is, do we make a decision or do we call for a hearing? If you decide that you want to make a decision, then the decision, basically it's found in 38-21D2. It just basically says that the Board of County Commissioners shall determine that the proposed service, to the extent to be authorized by the certificate, is or will be required by the present or future public convenience or necessity. So that's basically what determination you have to make. You may wish that the code had more criteria in there for you, some more objective criteria to apply. But as Commissioner Bay said, the code is dated, and that is basically the extent. You have to make a determination whether or not it is or will be required by the present or future public convenience or necessity.
So I'm going to go back to what I originally said. I don't feel like either one of them provided a case analysis for or against. So it's very hard for me to make a determination with relatively little information other than having what appears to be in my backup, some very generic forms saying they like what, I mean, there's really nothing here to make a decision on. And that's to me is what's disappointing. So I guess if you're asking for my opinion, I would say that first, I would like to hear from our chief. What is his recommendation? And two, if we're going to go down this, then I would say that we would have a public hearing and get more information.
Commissioner Schlebaugh.
Commissioner Kennard, you made a good point, and this is what I keep circling back to. MedFleet has 3 ambulances here. They've made that investment. I was the one that worked and worked and worked to get MedFleet in this county. And if one of 3 ambulances goes from Crystal River to Tampa and they wait there, we have 2 ambulances. We have 40 assisted living, nursing homes. We have hospice. I think that there is an opportunity for us to give better service. And I think that we should approve this COPCN. I worked very hard to get MedFleet in here. We have no backup. Tampa General COPCN is not a backup to what we need to get people transported within this county and outside of the county also. I think having one service provider in this is reckless, and I'm going to stick to it. I don't think MedFleet gives good service. I don't think that they're going to be hurt by this because they have roots here. They've made connections. This company could get the overflow that is not being serviced right now. And you can't convince me that 3 ambulances is going to cover our whole county for what is needed. So that's where I'm at. Kind of made my point.
Yeah, I'll take one more bite at the apple here. The metric, I would say, that we can use in determining whether or not there's a need, whether or not there's the necessity is there, are the number of complaints that we've gotten that either MedFleet is too slow or MedFleet is not delivering appropriate trucks, appropriate personnel, or that MedFleet no-shows. We've got none of those. 0. The county's transport system is very satisfied with the cooperative effort they have with MedFleet. The hospitals are satisfied with the effort that they have, the cooperation, the partnership they have with MedFleet. And I've not heard anything from the assisted living centers. So it sounds to me like we're imagining that there's a need out there, or we're being told by a company that wants there to be a need out there. The last point I'll make is that if a group from Monroe County decided that they wanted to build a hospital in Citrus County, they would have to go to, I believe it's the state, I don't think it's the feds, I believe it's the state, that they have to go to and seek a COPCN. And the reason that they have to do that, I'm sure there are many, but one of the primary reasons that they do that is that the state would not want this company X to come in and take away business and thus investment by those other hospitals in your community because of a dilution of the patients that would otherwise go to these other places. So these other entities can stay in competition, and by doing so, they'll continue to invest in their infrastructure and their staffing, dilute the marketplace, and that investment for your regions, your county patients goes down. It would decrease. That is a big part of why those hospitals or that would-be group would have to go for a COPCN. And if there's not a demonstrated need, and in this case, we do not have a demonstrated need, they're going to get denied. They're not going to get their COPCN from the state. And in this case, there's no demonstrated need, and we shouldn't be awarding this.
Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Schleibaugh.
Denise, in my research, I thought the state removed the CON from the hospitals. Can you find that out? Because he's saying that it's still there. I thought that regulation was removed.
For COPCNs for hospitals?
The CON.
Yeah, certificate of need for
Certificate of need.
hospitals.
Didn't you, Commissioner Kennard, say CON, or did I mishear you?
Using that as an example, that they need to get permission from the state. They need to demonstrate a need for an additional hospital, for those additional beds, that they would be required to do that.
I think that's been removed. Can you check?
I don't know the answer, but I'm happy to look it up.
Yes, thank you.
So to the point of free markets, we're all business owners up here, and I would say that part of business is specialization. And so I agree with Commissioner Schleibaugh's position on that in terms of one of our major industries. You just don't think tourism is because you're District 3. But
Janet, it's not. It's medical. It's not tourism.
I do think medical is a major industry here. We have heard from Dr. Gold, and I have heard other things. However, by and large, I have heard great things about how MedFleet conducts business here and takes care of our citizens. So this is absolutely zero reflection on their performance. It's more of the specialization and all the myriad ways that people need to be transported. And I personally do believe that there's enough business for both companies, but it doesn't, I'm not sure where Commissioner Bays is on this, but so far it seems to be not a winning proposition. Would you like to weigh in?
I told you what I thought.
So you want to do a public hearing to get more details?
I just think that we're not, I think, based on our code and how we're going to go about this, because I don't think it's going to stop here. So
Well,
at some point, you're going to have, if this is free enterprise, and that's what you're saying, then everybody that comes before us from here on out, you're opening the door and you're saying it's free enterprise and you should let them all in. So if we're not going to require somebody to demonstrate the need, we've got one telling us we don't have a need and we have another one telling us that they do. Neither one of them have demonstrated that.
I need to make one other thing clear. I have zero desire to make this a free-for-all where everyone is coming here looking for a COPCN. So I do take that seriously.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Kennard.
I completely agree with Commissioner Bays on one point, that EMED has not demonstrated a need. However, it's not incumbent on MedFleet to demonstrate there's not a need. They simply put in a letter of opposition saying, whoa, we don't believe there's a need here. The onus is on the applicant to say, here's the need, this is how many calls they've no-showed on, this is how many calls they've been late on, this is your population projection of some insane number. We know it's not that insane number. The onus is on EMED. They have not met it. They have not demonstrated there's a need. And for that reason, this vote should vote to oppose this, deny it.
Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Finnegan, then Commissioner Schleibaugh.
Well said, Commissioner Kennard, but I also agree with Commissioner Bays on another point. If the argument from this board, it should be not to allow them, but if this board decides different and the only reason is free enterprise, you have just opened the floodgates. Citrus County can no longer be the priority because they will come and they will come and they will come. This is different than regular business. As Commissioner Kennard stated, this is infrastructure. This is protecting our citizens. We can't say, oh, we believe in free enterprise, so anybody that comes up and can check the little boxes gets to be in. They did not demonstrate a need. Medfleet did not have to, and like we said, there have been 0 complaints. And I know the 3 ambulance statement was made, and I think those are ready on the go for Citrus County, but of course they have more ambulances that will cross county lines and help when the need is greater in our area. And the only thing I've heard is what a terrific job they've been doing.
Commissioner Schlebaugh.
We were sent in the backup several letters, many letters, and I didn't want to go into that because I'm a big supporter of Medfleet. But to say that there haven't been complaints, there have been. And I don't understand what Commissioner Bays said, because she said she told us what she wants, but she just read our policy. So what do you want? It's clear as mud to me what you want.
That we should have a public hearing.
Commissioner Schlebaugh, are you done?
No. There are letters on file. There are some issues that, again, you cannot convince me that there isn't a need for this in Citrus County. And I'm going to keep pushing that, but if you want to do a public hearing on this and have people come and say that, then just be prepared for, I mean, I'm okay with that too, if that's where it's gonna go, because it's 2 and sounds like 2 and you just are clear as mud. So I wanna hear what you want a public hearing, that's what you want. That's your vote today, a public hearing?
Yes, I think by our code, what's been spelled out in our code, that, first of all, we don't have a recommendation from Chief Stevens on this. I mean, he's put it in here, but he hasn't really said that they've met the substantial need. So I don't know. There was no recommendation in our backup. Number 2, there's no business case analysis to demonstrate this. I mean, they're kind of generic backup forms saying we could have something better, but I don't know what that means. I can't tell you. I haven't heard good and I haven't heard bad. So if I'm going to make a business decision, and I would think that both of these companies would welcome the opportunity to do that. If you're really in business and you want to be profitable and you want to offer that service, what is wrong with them presenting their business case analysis to demonstrate that we have a need for it? Or the other company could go, I can prove that you don't have a need for it. But that's doing good business. It's for the people. We are here to serve the citizens of Citrus County and do what's in their best interest.
Absolutely.
And I do not know one way or the other what is in their best interest with
So-
the information that I have in front of me.
That is always I think that any good commissioner, the priority is what is in the best interest of our residents. So I asked Chief Stevens point blank yesterday about hurricane evacuation. Chief, do you want to tell me what you said?
Okay, so.
Or tell them what you said to me
So
yesterday?
evacuations, a lot of our skilled nursing homes and our ALFs have to provide evacuation means for all of their residents should we have to evacuate their facilities. And unfortunately, over the years, they've listed that Citrus County Fire Rescue will be the team that comes in and evacuates their residents. Well, as all of you have learned over the past couple of storms we've had, there's absolutely no way that we can take 911 ambulances and evacuate these residents in that situation. Secondly, the other part to this, I think that is very hard, and I agree with you, Commissioner Bays, this is a hard decision to make because I can't even give you a true evaluation because All we get is the information we get back from the hospitals. Okay? If you want my recommendation would be for you guys to have a hearing on this. That way you can hear from people from the community, you can hear people from the healthcare facilities to make a determination if the need exists.
think-
Okay.
Okay. I'll rescind my second.
I was going to say, I'd like to, with your recommendation, I'd like to rescind my motion and make a motion that there is, can I see your code? That we schedule a public hearing to determine the needs of this application and that both parties can state their case. And that way we will be doing what's best. So that's my motion.
Okay, second.
Less words.
Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
If I may.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would just ask if the motion maker would consider taking out, let the two of them talk, because the application, it would be a public hearing on the application, and anyone could speak for
Okay.
or against.
Right.
I'd like to amend my motion that we would have a public hearing for this applicant to state their case for a need for Citrus County.
Yeah, having just been on EM for 2 hurricanes, it's pretty top of mind with me, so that sounds good. And I amend my second.
I'm sure.
Well,
Yeah,
you done?
yeah.
Okay, Commissioner Finnegan?
Here's why I'm not going to support this, because they were coming today to prove a need that's not been proven. A public hearing is just setting precedent. So if this board even votes them in and somebody else comes in, all that's going to do is find a line of people. 0 businesses are perfect, 0. So we're going to have a public forum of people coming up here and complaining about onesie, twosie things. And then, I don't know, maybe the company goes to the other county and finds a bunch of complaints. And I'd rather not have a bloodbath up here. I think that this was the opportunity to make the case, but I don't think this is a good precedent we're setting.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Commissioner Kennard?
Well, I'm going to say that I agree with Commissioner Finnegan on this. This is on our agenda to make a decision on. I would like to see us decide, however it ends up going down, I would like to see us make a decision on this. The idea is that the applicant, again, I'll repeat, the onus is on the applicant to prove there's a need. They've not proven that. And so I personally think that this application needs to be denied. If it doesn't go that way and we open it up to a public hearing, then we need to encourage anybody who wants to run an ambulance service in the county to submit their application and be considered in that public hearing. And then we've got to be prepared to say, okay, you, and you can run an ambulance in the county, but you can't. Or all of you can run an ambulance in the county, or we're staying with where we're at. But I think that it opens the door for AMR, for all the others who might have an interest in coming over here, to be involved in this public hearing because they want to be part of it.
Anyone else? Okay. Thank you, Chief. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes 3-2. And I'm going to go take over.
All right.
Ready? You want
Yes, ma'am.
you want this? Or
No,
you
I got it.
Okay.
All right, on to the next agenda item, E10. Road resurfacing.
Motion to approve E10,
Second.
Chair?
A and B.
Sorry, wait.
Second.
What? Oh, okay. All right, thanks. All right, any public comment on this, on E10? Seeing none, any board comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
4-1 for now. Next item is E11, Hernando Beach use.
Motion to approve, E11.
Second.
All right, any public comment? Any comments by the board? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did we already do E12? Oh, no, E12. CoreCivic, was that the one we did earlier?
Yeah, this is just an update.
Okay.
This is what this is, just an update. No action.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
It's just the document in your.
It's just a document update, no action required.
Okay.
Motion to approve, E13.
Second.
Any public comment on E13, retention pond expansion and maintenance agreement? Seeing none, any board comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Next up on the agenda is E14, live stream behavioral center agreement with Citrus County for year 24-25.
Motion to approve E14.
Second.
Any comment from the public?
Mr. McGee, are you speaking on behalf for 5 minutes?
I just need 3. I have a lot to say, but I'll try to get it done in
See
3.
how I timed that?
Very nice, thank you. I do have a lot to say. Welcome, friends. Happy birthday, Commissioner. If Chair, if I could personalize that. I do want to thank you first. Your attention and your focus on this issue has brought us to where we are today, which is a better place than we have been, but not where we need to be. All right, the meeting that you held with Rick Hankey and I and a lot of staff members got to a lot of core issues, and I think namely communication. You needed information and wanted information, and shareholders needed it, and you weren't getting it. We didn't understand that, and we weren't giving you what you needed, and now I think this new contract has a framework for us to now start giving you that information the way you want it and the way you need it. The contract starts October 1st, so at the end of October, we have to report our performance numbers to the managing entity. Takes them till about the middle of the month to get them back, but we've gotten on your calendar for like the 11th and 12th, I believe. We're going to try to get that information back, so the first set of data we can come back to you, report, talk through. We can do that publicly with the board in addition, but we thought individually at first, so we could have as long as you want to go through that. So I think we're at a good place. A couple things I want to tell you. We signed 2 new psychiatric providers that are now calendaring, making schedules in the county starting this week. So they're both MPs, but they're 2 psychiatric providers. So the wait times will improve. We are going to break ground before the first of the year on the facility. It'll be finished by February of 26. We get that open. That will alleviate a lot of people not wanting to go to Leesburg. I get that. I do want to say to the lady who suffers with your daughter, my brother committed suicide over 30 years ago. I know what it's like to have mental illness in the family. I see Josh Wooten in the audience. I bet everyone in this audience could raise their hand and have dealt with an issue like this. It's painful, it's heartbreaking. And I'd like to talk with you afterwards. I'm not a clinician, but I'll do whatever I can to help you and your family because I know how tough it is. We're going to do better. Another thing that you need to know as a board is that Commissioner Bays, in her role as the chair of the Public Safety Commission, has kind of authorized me to go out and meet with shareholders to get some initial information. I have a couple more to do. The storms held me up, but I need a couple more to meet with. But then to collect information and convene a larger meeting of all the stakeholders, kind of chaired by Livestream instead of her having to bring everybody together, Livestream being everybody together, to talk about what we have as a system of care and where the holes are and how we make it better and how we work together to do that. One example, Commissioner Bay said, what about prevention? We don't spend any money on prevention. Guess what? The state doesn't fund anything for prevention. Doesn't mean we don't need to be doing it. So we have to find a way to do it. So I think all the stakeholders working together, we can do that. And we're trying to do that under the Public Safety Council's auspices. So I think the last thing I would say is NAMI came up and she talked, when Marilyn Booth passed away, bless her heart, I went and joined the board at NAMI and kind of helped keep them going and get that going. The only people who suffer almost as much as those with a mental illness or have problems with substance abuse are their families, and it's heartbreaking. And there's always going to be conflict between NAMI and the provider, but we're going to do our best. She was my first call, was NAMI. We'll work with them and we'll fix the issues. Next year, my goal is consent agenda, and I promise I'll work toward that.
Madam Chair, can I ask one question?
Yes.
Mr. McGee, I know that Livestream was very receptive when I spoke to them about the dementia patients, and I don't know if you could update me on that, but I also, it came up maybe 6 months or so ago where the sheriff's office would have a flag on certain people if dementia or autism. And it was a program actually that I think Dave Vincent put in place. I don't think it's there again, but that is something that you might want to look at with Sheriff-elect Dave Vincent. I love that idea that anybody with dementia or autism had a little purple flag or some kind of flag on their name when 911 is called, so that the deputies aren't going out there blind to what the situation is, that, you know, and I don't know if you could give us an update on the dementia side of it.
Madam Chair. I can, actually. We got almost $1 million from the legislature to do a pilot program for dementia patients. Look, we don't treat juveniles the same way we treat adults when they're Baker Acted or under the Marchman Act. We shouldn't treat seniors with dementia the way that we treat adults or the way that we treat juveniles. So this program attempts to identify those individuals, not take them through the Baker Act process, and even further to go into the home to see what's causing some of the problems, whether it be a nursing home or the person's actual home, to help with dementia itself. It's a separate problem. I agree with you that autism could fit into that category as well. This particular pilot project doesn't deal with autism, but it doesn't mean that we can't find some flexibility to maybe that's part of the answer for their family. I'm not sure, but I agree with you. But that's a perfect example of the community coming together and saying, hey, dementia is a problem here. We have a lot of senior citizens, and these people get Baker Acted, and it's not really mental illness, it's dementia.
Right.
And so this pilot program will attempt to solve that. There's respite care involved, there's specific casework being done with those people who have dementia, and again, into their home to try to stop it from happening. Again, it is prevention at its core. So we are making progress there. I don't know about the sheriff's program, Sheriff Vincent's program where he had it, but I'll investigate that because that sounds like a great idea.
I talked to him and it was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds like a great
Yeah, and thank you, and thank you for taking care of the dementia patients. Thank you, Chairman.
Absolutely.
And to that point, for the 911 calls, I've had conversations with the chief on their CAD system, and I think you're still working through it, or there's still updates going on, but if somebody does have dementia, or they have schizophrenia or autism, severe cases of it, they have ways to identify that, so when the call goes out for 911, they can flag that, and I know it's an updating of the system, but thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGee.
Okay.
You need my votes.
Yes, ma'am.
Aye on E10, aye on E11, aye on E13. Are those all 5-0 then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did we have a motion on this yet? No, because I was not in the room.
You had a motion by Finnegan and a second by Kennard on E14.
I thought it was the other way around. Motion
Chair.
from.
You were the motion maker? Okay, Finnegan and Kennard. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
got it.
Opposite. I'm
All
wrong
right,
twice
any
today.
more public comment? Going once, going twice, okay. Board discussion, Ms. Hope, I failed to say anything earlier, and I apologize for that. It's a heartbreaking story. And I hope you get hope. You have a beautiful last name. I will say that we've heard this a couple of times today, and certainly in our own county government, it does take a while to turn a large ship, a barge, if you will. We're seeing it with CoreCivic, we're seeing it with Livestream, we've seen it since 2 years ago. We started turning the ship that is Citrus County into a better direction. And the way that we can all succeed as a community is to bring positive ideas and keep the faith that things will get better, but also hold people's feet to the fire. I've had some difficult conversations with the CEO of Lifestream, who I believe has his own, it's not my secret to tell, and I told him that he should tell that secret more often, but mental health has dramatically impacted his own family. So this is why he's in the business, is to truly to help people. And I do think the CEO's heart is in the right place, and he is trying to shift the culture. So anyway, any other board discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. But my heart goes out to you. This is deja vu all over again. Outstanding commission items. We need to do it again because we've got a different audience, right?
I think nothing's changed. Veronica.
Since this morning?
Yeah, nothing's changed since then, but it's out there on video and we have it on the website. And,
Okay, it's
we're gonna be doing
doubleheader.
this
It's doubleheader day.
Every meeting will be updating that as well.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Schleybaugh, I think. Did I skip over anything? No, we did committee reports this morning. Okay, Commissioner Schleybaugh, K1.
Thank you. I am very excited to bring this forward. We are at 99% on the design and engineering complete, and think I'd like the support to get these permits moving, because that could save some time. And as with anything, the more we delay, the more expensive things become. And with government, this has taken 3.5 years to even get to this stage. So I would ask for the board's support in moving this forward. And the money will be taken out of the money that has, the funding that has been in, is it part of donated money also that these permitting fees are coming from, the 510660?
I'm gonna have to look to Aaron on that to make sure, because I don't want to say something wrong. Comes Aaron.
Because we have almost 3 million, and I know everybody talks about this, but I am gonna have some time on my hands. And one of the first things I do when you get a shovel in that ground is start the fundraising for this animal shelter. It's gonna be great for our community, it's gonna be great for our staff, and it's gonna be great for education, mental health. And so I'm very excited to be at this stage. So thank you.
I'm sorry, I was walking. It was a question about the funds.
The funding, is it part of the donations to the almost 3 million that we've gotten?
Right, so that includes donations and the sale of property from the county.
Thank you. To date, so. I'd like to make a motion to approve K1.
No one's going to second that? I'll second it. Do we have any public comment? Motion by Commissioner Schleybaugh, second by Commissioner Davis.
Janet Barrett, Citrus Springs. I see a need for an animal shelter. However, we don't have the money yet, and I don't think we should be expanding and getting this permit and that permit, which do have time constraints. So the thing is, if we had the money in the county, I would say go ahead. As soon as the money's there, put in for the permits, get the permits, and get everything rolling. We haven't even got the plan completely. She said it's only at so many percent. We need the whole plan. We need the whole pot of money. It's like we did with the highways, what we could do with the roads, okay? And as for myself, I would say it's in the works, just let it take its time and get to where it's supposed to be, when it's supposed to be there.
That's breaking news. Josh Wooten, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. Just some good news, y'all may or may not know. I was at a conference and Deborah Stanley was there. I think there's $700,000 was just granted to them for a vet tech program, which would be really cool to, I know that that's probably your ultimate plan, but to turn that into kind of an economic incubator along the way. So we would support that too.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, we'll close, open to the public. Board?
Chairman?
Yes.
The money is there. It's 99% complete, and the one, even just the Swift Mud permit could take months and months and months and months. So this is a way to move forward without delaying it even further. Government doesn't move fast, and the money is there, and the funding is there, so let's move forward.
Anyone else want to speak? Commissioner Kennard?
Yes. I am supportive of building new animal shelter. I think there's more discussion to be had on the, ultimately what the final cost of that shelter is, what the design of that shelter is, the capacity of that shelter. I think there's still things that once we get the design and the estimated costs back, I think there's going to be some more discussion about, is this something that is palatable? Is this something that the county is ready for this level of shelter, or what is the demand out there? So again, I'll reiterate, a new shelter will be built, but like anyone in the in the private world that wants to apply for or submit a permit application package, there needs to be a design in there, that they're ready to move forward with in construction, and we're just not ready to do that yet. So when it's time, I will support it, but and I hate that the design and this whole construction process has been at a snail's pace. I hate that for my colleagues' sake, but that's the pace that we're on right now.
You're saying that we're not at that stage, but staff, I did have discussion, and we are at that stage, and so might want to talk to staff.
Commissioner Finnegan?
Yeah, I was trying not to say anything because you were saying it well, but I went to staff and I asked them if we were there, and I said, well, the motion's very evasive. What permits? We're not ready. We don't have even a funding plan or the regular plan's ready. And I did hear, oh, well, Swift Mud permit, but I didn't get a lot of details, and the motion's very evasive. And I also think that we are being good stewards of the money to wait until we have the whole package and complete. I think we're going to get a lot of blowback if this moves forward. And the number one thing, even for people that have been on board with the plan, is how are we paying for it? They don't want their taxes raised to do it. So I think that we need to come forward with a full plan and explain to them how this is going to be funded.
I don't have the vote on it, but we did vote on the funding, and I don't have that right in front of me, but it was passed, where the funding source was coming from. There was a bond getting ready, or Aaron could probably answer to that. But Mr. Howard,
Madam Chair.
Yeah,
that was passed.
Yeah, we did have some discussions on it.
I'll have something to say about that.
Commissioner Finnegan?
I do remember the board passing that, but it wasn't in the budget because we're not ready. So, as time changes too, that's when I started hearing a lot of the blowback, is this going to raise taxes? And taxes did get raised, but that still wasn't in the budget. And that was, well, you'll tell us, a year or 2 years ago, maybe more.
So that was to do some type of debt service, depending on the amount, the sale of land. I know there's other properties we're trying to sell right now. And then obviously donations. There was no actual dollar amount. We didn't, set X amount of dollars as debt service, X because amount of dollars for the sale of land or donations, because I don't think we knew then, and I don't know that we know now what we'll have when we go to actually build the animal shelter. I don't know what it's going to cost. They say they don't have final design, so until we get that, we really wouldn't go out and bond until we knew that cost.
Mr. Howard, are we ready to pull any permits whatsoever?
I'd have to ask staff. I know what the commissioner has said, we're about 90% design, which that'll come before the board soon, which will let us go out to bid, which at that point we'll know what the cost associated with that will be. We think we're ahead of actually Marion County. He's been working on this for a long time. We've actually had a lot of discussions. The contract was signed with the architect about 7 months before I got here. You were at 0% design. You're at 90% design to date, which is a pretty good progress collectively, everybody together working on that. But I'd have to have Eric come forward just on, and also staff on where we're at with Swift Mud and things like that. There's definitely a permitting process you'd get to. I'll have them come forward and talk about that.
Which Eric? You have Mr. Head coming up
Head,
because
Mr.
the other
Head will
one's
be
permitting.
right now we have a new construction manager, which I'm thrilled bringing on board, but he'll take this project over soon. But until now, Eric has it a little bit longer. Like collateral
We look
duties.
forward to that. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Eric Head, Community Services Director. Yes, with regard to Commissioner Slayball's reference to the Swift Mud permit, and according to our, I have our architect and engineer on board, that cost is not included in their contract. It would be separate. And on their timeline, and they typically start the Swift Mud permit prior to 100% because it typically takes 3 to 4 months to get that permit. They currently have it on their timeline to begin that process on 10/18. We're obviously past that at this point. And the current bid period on that timeline would open up on February 1st at the latest, hopefully. And then the board selection from that bid period would be approximately April. So that would allow us to have that Swift Mud permit in place, the environmental resource permit, at the same time that the board is selecting the contractor.
And, Madam Chairman?
Yes.
And we're at 99%, not,
It basically is 99%. It's almost at 100%. We've gotten the documents. They couldn't call them 100% because there was still some site development from our staff reviews that needed to be fixed by the engineer, and those were being fixed to date.
and we couldn't say what was coming from the funding source because we have a promise of $500,000 once this is shovel in the ground. We've got another promise of $1 million once the shovel hits the ground. So there, and we have raised almost $3 million. So there's, until things start moving, we're not gonna know what the donations are. And I've had many, many people, and I know others have had many, many people, as soon as that process is started and we stop talking about it, we can get this thing moving and get the private donations. And come on, guys, let's just, come on. It's grueling.
Is your recommendation that we submit for what, Swift Mud ERP?
Well, I think the intent here is, to remove any additional delays. I mean, I know that, once the project moves out to bid and comes back to the board, if we wait until that bid selection is done, there could be, and if that was to happen in April, it could take, depending on Swift Mud's timeline, it could be an additional 3 months or more after that selection before we get that permit.
Thank you. All right, well, I'm solidly in favor of it.
What kind of
Commissioner
dollars
Bays?
are we talking about?
Typically, I checked with other county staff. An environmental resource permit could be around $1,000, so it's not expensive on that permit. Some other numbers for fees, Eric Landon estimated impact fees, which would also could be taken care of approximately for a building this size, about 50 total impact fees, around $30,000.
So all in, we're talking less than $50,000.
Correct. All in, I think the architect and engineer had estimated total fees and estimation, they had about $85,000. So that would include the building permit, which they also estimated around $25,000. Which that wouldn't happen until the contractor was on board, and that would be part of his package.
So right now, we would just be asking for the ERP permit and
Wastewater?
Correct.
wastewater?
There is wastewater. I don't have specifics on wastewater. We were looking for those. there's wastewater, there's utility connection fees or other minor fees that go into that. I didn't have specifics on those, but we could get those. Yeah. But total, including building permit, about 85,000 in permits and fees for the project.
Commissioner Finnegan has a question for you.
Mr. Head, did you say that if we didn't do it now, the delay would maybe be 3 months?
Yeah, average, I would just like the average time for an ERP permit is 3 months from the time of application.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to die on this sword. I still believe that we should, 3 months isn't that long of a wait, that we should, for the citizens that we're answering to, I would like to wait until the package is together. But thank you.
I do believe Commissioner Schleba has an excellent point that the donations will start coming a lot faster the more we make actual visible progress on this. But Commissioner Bays, you haven't weighed in yet?
Just call the vote.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes 3-2.
Thank you.
Commissioner Kennard, do you have anything?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Finnegan?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Bays, N1. I'm kind of excited about this one.
Well, we're going to bring staff up.
Madam Chair, board members, Walt Eastman, Technical Services. Afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, Walt Eastman, Technical Services. We're here to talk about the corridor alignment study. This is actually a board initiative project. I have with me today Mr. Campbell McLean from Gray Robinson. He's going to discuss why we need to be doing a corridor alignment study, what's involved in the process, what the elements are, what the outcome typically is, as well as other agencies that have successfully implemented such a program. You'll notice in your backup there's a list of roads. I have also aerial maps showing those roads with parcels that are currently owned by the county. Most of them are drainage retention areas. But the main road we'd like to focus on today is County Road 491. But that's not to say we can limit the study to just 491. My opinion, we need to be doing each of these roads and even the other roads that are not part of this process or part of this application, like County Road 48 and 480. But with that, I'll turn it over to Campbell. He'll bring us through the corridor alignment study process.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be before you. I'm an attorney with law firm of Gray Robinson, and I specialize in the area of eminent domain. And most of my practice is spent advising public bodies on the exercise of that power and then how you get from A to B. As you're all aware, we're under construction on a County Road 491. I know you're all aware about the MPO and what their job is in determining what projects are best for the future expansion of county's infrastructure. What I'm here to talk about is that space in between the MPO determination of roadways that are necessary and the construction process. In order to get from there to construction, we need to do a number of steps. And the part of this is actually very important from the legal side to understand, because at the end of the day, I, as your outside counsel or some other eminent domain attorney working for the county, needs to make sure that the pieces are put together in a proper way so that when the county chooses to exercise the power of eminent domain, it does so correctly. So in order to do that, the next step in the process is to do an alignment study to determine how that road is going to be expanded. So this depends on a number of factors. And in fact, under Florida law, we're obligated to consider at least the main 5 factors. Some people call these the scale factors, but these are set out in a series of cases. But they have to do with examining alternative alignments. And then when you do that examination, you have to consider the other 4 factors of costs, long-range planning, environmental conditions, and what was the last one?
Safety.
Safety, yes, of course, safety. So always a very big factor. So, but that doesn't mean those are the only costs to be considered. So there's a couple ways to come at this process. Some governments choose to do what's called the PD&E analysis. You pay an outside engineer and consultant to go out and review these. They put together a massive report and come back with a recommendation. That recommendation comes before the board. You then review and consider it and ask questions. You then you pass a resolution determining the approved or preferred alignment. From there, staff will go out, hire more engineers to go out and actually design the road. And they will figure out all the different bits and pieces that need to be put together in order to then determine what property is needed for that roadway. Once those property interests are identified, they could be easements or fee simple areas. We need them for expansion of right-of-way, creation of new roads, sidewalks, drainage ponds. We come back to this board with a list of properties that we need to acquire. The board then approves another resolution approving eminent domain. So for those properties that we are not able to successfully negotiate, we then use the power to go condemn those properties. Once all the land has been compiled, the construction activities start. So what we are proposing to do is a sort of a modified process. Now, I want the board to know that Citrus County, while they're one of my longest clients, are not my only client. I do work for Hillsborough County, which is where I started. I'm outside counsel for Manatee County, Pasco County. I've done assignments for Alachua County. We also represent Tampa Bay Water, the Tampa Hillsborough County Expressway Authority, the city of Lakeland. So we're pretty busy. I'm authorized counsel for the city of Tampa as well. But so everyone has a slightly different way of doing it, whether you go the PD&E study route or you have staff and consultants prepare analysis. Either way, the end result is the same. You come back to the board with a recommendation for an alignment, and the board then approves that, and we move forward to the next step. It's also, from a budget perspective, it all depends on what the county's finances are and what the obligations are. So sometimes things are high on the priority list or lower on the priority list. They get moved around. We don't care. All we need to know is that for what the MPO is telling us are necessities. I think the highest necessity right now is the finished expansion of County Road 491 to the north. That's an evacuation corridor, is my understanding. So Walt and I discussed that that was probably the best place to start. But the board should know that how far these studies go, how long they take, what you want us to study, that's clearly at the discretion of the board. So all we're providing today is just a recommendation about how best to next proceed. I did want to add that as part of the County Road 491 corridor analysis, there are some other components that the board has directed staff to examine. One is the implementation of regional drainage. Now that has been a hot topic with this board over the years, but I've been informed that they'd like us to explore that for the next segment. So that involves the studying of regional drainage basins, where all that water is going, making sure that we are comprehensively controlling that water so to avoid flooding. That's particularly important for an evacuation route when people are trying to get out. You want to make sure that if any road gets flooded, it's not that one. So there's that component. There's also a study or consideration for overlay districts where the county may want to focus development in different ways. So this would involve amendments to the comp plan and the land development code that will encourage certain development in certain places. That is something else that's supposed to be studied. And my final point, or my final element, is that my understanding is that we've retained Kimley Horn, who is an engineer who does comp plan and land use analysis and amendments concerning long-range planning. So the best example I can give you is Pasco County a number of years back hired Kimley Horn to do a comprehensive analysis of their roadway network and to implement changes to their comp plan and their land development code that made it better for county's future right-of-way acquisition. So by designating roads, they would do a long-range transportation plan map by designating certain roads, arterials, collectors, but ones that we know we need to widen and then putting certain widths for those roads that are reasonable widths to consider going forward, and then creating a scheme so that when someone comes in to develop along those roadsides, they are not putting critical property improvements in the way of what we know is a future expansion area. Now, we still owe them full compensation. No one's trying to take that away from them. We're just simply trying to avoid conflicts for important county roads where we know we need to fix those or widen those in the future. And so I can tell you as probably the only person who has litigated those code provisions for Pasco County, it's a very complex undertaking. And so you do want legal counsel reviewing those proposals because it gets into the field of regulatory takings, and that's a somewhat unique area of the law. We want to make sure that whatever amendments we're bringing to this council are appropriate and been vetted by legal counsel is all. So by proceeding with 491 now, we're able to undertake some of these broader delegations or instructions that have been given to staff, and then come back with not only a preferred alignment, but with also possibly some comp plan changes that will help Citrus County's long-term planning. And these are all take it or leave it, but this is what I understand has been funded or directed to staff to undertake. And then the images that we've provided today and that are part of the backup are simply, I think, the top 7 roads.
I think we have 8 in there.
And what those routes are so that the board understands what we would be looking at. Now, the 491 is the only thing I think we're really going forward with today. But you can see what some of the other big needs are. Now, and that can change, and the board at its discretion can tell us what it wants studied next, or none at all, but that's where we are. So anyway, if the board have questions for me about anything I've just said or what we're proposing today, I'm happy to answer as best I can.
Board? Commissioner Bays?
Well, thank you for the presentation. I don't know, on the 491 corridor alignment, I know that we have a development that's been on the books for many, many years that by rights they can develop roughly 6,000 plus homes.
Yes.
Can you kind of walk us through that?
Sure. As Commissioner mentioned, there's several large developments, at least one large development, I believe it's Tuscany, that has development rights along the 491 corridor. It has, if I recall, there's a DRI involved where they've already stated where there's right-of-way to be dedicated as part of that project. But I don't believe, until we do a more detailed analysis, I don't believe the 30 feet that they are obligated to provide would be wide enough for what we need to do in the future. So we'll need to look at that as part of this, as part of the corridor alignment. To give you a frame of reference, it is just north of Pine Ridge, and one of the exits out of the Tuscany development would come out across from Hampshire, just as an example. So essentially in this vicinity in through here. It's a very large development.
And then we would go on up to, do we own any other land along that corridor?
What we have indicated here, each one of the flags shows the property that we currently own.
Well, I can see that. I'm 62 today, I can't see it.
Each one of the flags points to an individual parcel that the county currently owns. Most of them are essentially drainage retention areas, quite frankly. We do have the large community park, but as you see, once you get north of US 41, we don't have a whole lot of parcels or pieces in through that area.
So this is a, you pay now or you pay later?
Well, yeah. The prices of, in the 26 years I've been practicing in Florida, the prices have only gone up, except for that one moment when we had our crisis back in 2008, 2009. And so Unfortunately, that's life in Florida these days. So, but by undertaking a proper planning process, you can best position the county in the long term. And that's really, that's the best we can do. We won't necessarily have funds to buy all the ponds and land we need now. It may take a couple of years to put that together. Walt is excellent at getting grants from the DOT and other sources that we can use for these things. But if we can preserve a corridor, establish a corridor where we know the road's going to go, and put in comp plan and land development code provisions that will prevent people from putting their new home right in the way of that corridor, then we're not buying someone's home. We're not kicking someone out of their home. We're buying open space that they were forced to leave as open space, and we're paying fair market value for that. So that's the intention, is to sort of establish these preferred corridors to keep expensive development out of the way of what we know is going to be future path of a roadway. So,
And it also gives you some bargaining power with large developments, trade-offs, if you will.
yes, well, it is helpful to know. For example, you've got a DRI coming in that, a brand new one, or, a brand new PD development. And we've already studied it, so we know we need 60 feet of their frontage in depth. And so that's immediately on the table because we know that, rather than, well, we've never studied it, we think it's 30, it could be 20, it could be 100. That's the sort of thing that really that's troublesome for a developer. They just need that solid knowledge so they know what they can develop and determine whether it makes economic sense for them to proceed. So it helps everyone in a lot of ways. But importantly for the county, for the future needs of the county, you're setting in stone as earliest as possible what we anticipate our future needs will be, so that no one is caught off guard.
And when I look through this list, for me, we already know that 491, I mean, we're
It's the
gonna.
easy one.
Right. And we know that they're getting ready to redo the bridge on 200, and that Kimberly Horn has already said that they're gonna expand 200 to be 6 lanes. But when I look through the rest of ours, like, and I'll be honest with my fellow board members, when I looked at Croft, it's done. I mean, the only thing you've got left that you can really do is intersection improvement at 44. I mean, you've had multiple people go in there in the last 18 months and build houses right up to it. So the idea or the thought that you're gonna go in now and buy that house out and tear it down to widen that road, to me, is kind of foolish.
It's
I mean,
expensive,
right.
but then when you have
So-
all those the neighborhoods from Croft coming in saying, I can't get my kid to school on time, or it took me, an hour just to get to the hospital, that's when this board may not have a choice. Have to improve that road because so much development has occurred or been previously permitted and then finally occurred. You've got a lot of platted lots out there that they have a right to build right now. We call them ghost strips because they take up room on the road, but they don't really take up room on the road. But they could go in and build on those lots, and now you've got that congestion and that problem. So, the best we can do is try to plan a fix to those future problems.
And one important point, not to interrupt you, but one important point is, even though we're assigning a corridor and establishing a corridor, it doesn't mean we're going to be building that road today or tomorrow. It just, sets the footprint for the future.
This is why I was so excited about this topic, because I keep hearing about things like, on Cardinal and on Croft, that we are allowing building. And what is the recommended next step to protect us on that? Because I hear both of you, we're not doing it today on any of these. We need to get funding sources and all that other good stuff. But what do we do to protect that corridor as a next step?
Citrus's land development code and comp plan does not have those protective measures in it. And other counties like Hillsborough and Pasco do, and they've been using those to great success.
Okay.
So if we voted today to go with the 491 to 200 and move forward, you're putting that element into our comp plan and our land development code. We're using that.
Yes, that's included with the overall 491 study. We will have Kimberly Horn involved. They've prepared similar language for other counties, and that would be part of the 491 study.
So my understanding is we would not only be bringing back to the board a recommended alignment for the rest of 491, but also a raft of other recommendations to help make the code and comp plan more forward-thinking in its transportation considerations. How about that? That's lawyer speak for, just trying to.
If the board so choose to use your services sorry, my got throat issues, from date of hire, like how long do you estimate all of this to take before it goes into our comp plan and our land development code?
I would have to ask Kim Lee Horn that question. I don't know. I mean, and our job isn't to write those provisions. They've already put together those packages. But our job would be to review them and make sure that you're not going to get sued, hopefully, for regulatory takings. So or any other issues. But we'll do our best to make sure we vetted everything with them. And some of those provisions have been tried and true elsewhere, so we have some track records to fall back on. And we're certainly going to reach out to some of those other governments as part of the process, so that when I or someone else comes before you to present that, we'll hopefully have some comprehensive feedback to go with the recommendations we're providing.
Commissioner Bays, so you are asking for just 491 funding at this point?
At this point, yes.
Okay.
Unless you are throwing in your retirement plan.
Just asking for clarification. This is future
I drive
planning,
down
so-
highways now, and it's like I'm in constant mode of looking at everything. And so now I drive down 44, and I'm like, oh my God, all these businesses are coming in, and we have no access management. So you're going to drive 60 miles an hour, and then you're going to have a turn lane. And I look at it and think, this is just, a making of disaster.
That's not our road.
I know it's
So,
not, but
we can blame
that's
DOT
why
for
I
that
think
one.
for me, that's why this future planning, because this defines your community. It takes care of what all those things that we don't like in other places that we've watched them outgrow themselves with lack of planning. And I think this is the opportunity. If we want to be different, if we want to be the nature coast, and we want to protect and we want to preserve, this is the way that you do it right. And so.
Yes.
Commissioner Bays, is the plan to get support today and then have staff look at a funding source and then bring it back?
You have funding sources in your backup on the back page.
I must have missed that. I saw prices. I saw.
You have the funding source in the.
There it is.
Thank you.
Did you make a motion yet?
No,
don't
I have
believe you
not.
did.
Which district is 491, since we go by A,
This-
B, and C?
It actually impacts all three
Oh, it does?
Mhm.
Okay.
impact fee districts.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we proceed with 491 to 200.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bays, second by Commissioner Kennard. Is there any public comment on this?
Janet Barrick, Citrus Springs resident, and I am glad to see something finally. 491 was widened back in 2002 for a little stretch. Shouldn't have been just a little stretch. Should have been the whole thing to 200. So when you guys are finally coming up with this and we have a funding source, okay, I've seen the roads. I think this is wonderful if you guys agree to it. Go back in history, Croft was not widened 12 years ago. Instead, they did Ottawa. There was a land swap, remember, Commissioner Bays? So the thing is, when they put Croft on this list, I'm sorry, I don't want to see Croft on any list. It will cost too much money to have the eminent domain and buy the houses that are right up to the street. And whether people have to go around or whatever, the county already paid for Ottawa Avenue. Okay, we paid once, but 491 needs to be done. We need to get 4 lanes before we even consider Tuscany getting on and off 491. The number of houses that are proposed for in there. The fact that we're looking at possibly a traffic light at West Hampshire. Okay, widening the road after you've already put a traffic light in? That's paying somebody twice. This is forward thinking. And I'm glad that Commissioner Bates brought this forward, and I'd love to see you vote yes on it.
Josh Wooten, CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. 2002 was a great year for widening. I remember delivering Bill Boxsmith's draw to him in front of Black Diamond. Those were the good old days. But anyway, so this is awesome. I know Commissioner Schleybaugh, if you recall, about probably 3 years ago, we had the area council meeting, and we did the chart on what Beverly Hills priorities were, and this was one of the priorities. So this is awesome that y'all are doing this. And the chamber has had it on our list. We're gonna help y'all find some money, because Rebecca or Commissioner Bays has uncovered that it's an evacuation route, which, boy, was it used as an evacuation route too. We found out all of our evacuation routes going and coming back into the county, these last incidents. And anybody that says the Parkway was nonsense as an evacuation route has now been proved not knowing what they're talking about. The only other thing that I'll add, going back in history, I believe there was a lot of right-of-way purchased on Croft Road along the way, at least at the southern end of it. So y'all might take a look at that to see what's already in ownership. The problem was that bank on the corner was never acquired, which turned into, and that's when the project stalled, because it became cost prohibitive. But this is a great deal, and this is good planning, so y'all are to be commended.
Excellent. Anyone else? Going once, going twice. We'll close public comment. Any further board discussion?
I gotta tell you, this is like the best birthday gift ever.
I thought it was the double header. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Happy birthday, Commissioner Bays.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, I have nothing, Madam Attorney. Open to the public. Would anyone else like to speak at open to the public?
Begging you, Janet, please. Thank you. Is it that her birthday? She said, thank you, Janet.
Thank you, Janet.
I had no intentions of speaking today.
But you have a fabulous necklace.
Thank you. I came just to listen, but what I've heard from the board today, I could not keep quiet. Thank you, Commissioner Bays. I'm from IV4. A lot of the things here, this IV4, there's a lot of blame to go around, whether it was the real estate there, the model homes that sold the lots to individuals like myself. There's also the developer, the commissioner here that has let it go on, Swift Mud. I mean, there's blame for everybody, and we should all own up to it. But what really got me upset was when the taxpayers should not have to pay for the engineering. I agree, but we're all taxpayers. We've all paid taxes. IV4, in 1 year alone, we have paid $600,000 in taxes this year. So it's been paid for. So something needs to be done. We are out here, and we all have to take the responsibility.
Thank you.
Chair, Her name
Yes.
for the record,
Oh, I'm
please.
so sorry, ma'am. Can you come back up? You need to give us your name for the record.
Marie Williams, IV4.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Okay, we're going to close open to the public. Board, anything? Ms. Thomas?
Advisory Board announcements. Special Library District Advisory Board announced expiration of terms. Announcement of the expiration of terms for 4 regular positions and taking of applications for the Special Library District Advisory Board. These terms expire on January 31st, 2025. The new 2-year terms will begin on February 1st, 2025, and will expire on January 31st, 2027. Deadline for applications is November 29th, 2024, with nominations and appointments to be chosen on a date in January to be determined.
Thank you. And we are, is there anything further, Board? We're adjourned.